What is this? Visibly near panic attack as her Epstein lies are exposed. Wait, is that what we were
New
reading?
Investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S.
She
Attorney
visibly near a
prevent the
panic
department
attack?
from releasing all of the remaining files.
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ?
Follow the law. The law passed both chambers. Maximum transparency.
And the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information, new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
Waiting, Madam Waiting. You mentioned, Madam Attorney General, the issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information? And would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York.
Okay. I don't think that was a panic attack, but...
Truth over fact.
Ban him then. That's fake news that you're letting propagate on your subreddit.
We do a little trolling. It's called we do a little trolling. Come on, man.
Where do you think this Gunther Eagleman's account was created?
I don't know, but I will dance when this motherfucker...
When what?
Hey, should we actually be worried about Trump's company's name for the files? I don't know. You've asked this question like 7 million times yesterday. I don't know. I don't know the answer. Holy shit. I don't know. Jesus, chill.
Since 2004, I don't think they'd won 51%. Not that Donald Trump almost did, but they hadn't won 51% going all the way back to Mike Dukakis. So there was a sense that they needed to appeal to the people that were not interested in them. There were people in the United States that didn't care about capital gains. They didn't want to privatize Social Security. They were worried about China. They didn't think China was going to democratize if you gave them more stuff. So they wanted a closed border. They thought it lowered their wages. So this guy comes along. He could have been a Democrat or Republican. Trump had been both. And he says this stuff, and the aristocratic wing of the Republican Party is just shocked by him. And then they started looking at him, and he said, this guy wants to entirely overthrow the post-war order in foreign policy. Not that he really did, but he used a certain technique to make NATO pay, or he wanted to shock us about China, et cetera, et cetera. And then people started looking domestically. He speaks nice of the Teamsters. And what they were basically saying is that this guy has changed the Republican Party into a workers' nationalist populist party, and people, the white working class, black working class, Hispanic working class, are going to have more in common with each other than each does with their own elites. And that was kind of a frightening thing to the establishment. You can see why they walked. But I started to see it when you saw that 26%, I think, of black males voted for him, 55% of Hispanic males. I think it was 60 of white males, 62. It kind of worked. And I could see where it was going because when I go to the university on the week and I listen to black intellectuals or black politicians or Hispanic population elites, they have nothing in common with people I see out here. No more in common than farmers have with professors or intellectuals. So he saw that, and he forged a new way of politics, and he had certain mannerisms. I'm not trying to deprecate or be condescending to the middle class, the working class, but what intellectuals found off-putting, they found authentic. And so he revolutionized party, and that caused a lot. The Never-Trumpers really went, if you look at the rhetoric, I mean, Bill Kristol just said he would vote for Mondani if he was in New York. So he really made their head explode. And people who had told us they were conservative their whole life suddenly said, I renounce everything I've done because of him. And then it had even a greater effect on the Democratic Party. They basically said, this guy came in and he robbed us of the middle class, and he's exposed us of a party of technocrats, big donors, financial people, global people that were making a ton of money on the two coasts, and the subsidized poor. So that were the catalysts that stopped it. So to finish, I think we're going to be in, let's hope that we don't have this furor in terms of personality and comportment. I agree with you, but I think whether it's Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance or someone over, they will not be able to return to Doleism, Bushism, McCainism, Romneyism, because this was working for them, and I think people want them. And
Okay, wait, why was I like this? I don't know if I necessarily disagree with this.
Last year. So they make... Look, the Democrats, I don't know, some of you are probably liberal Democrats. I don't know about in your country. I don't know if you know that word, liberal. The word liberal doesn't exist. But they have a new word now. You can't use liberal. You have to use the word progressive. And I don't like using it. It's a beautiful word, progressive. Progressive, that's not them. They're regressive. No, they're regressive from last year.
Okay. That's been slop. What is this?
Trump Saudi Crown Prince meeting is so good. The Senate has voted. Oh shit, bro, this is 1 minute ago. The Senate has unanimously voted to release all of the Epstein files.
Without objection. Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over.
That was fast.
Wait,
Trump Saudi Crown Prince meeting is so good. The Senate has.
I don't know why I was thinking this. Don't know, don't care. Too long. Too long ago. What is this? How many shoulders are there?
1, 2, 3.
Epic skit. Okay. Wikipedia drama. What is this? What the fuck? Okay. Okay. What I'm asking for: be bold and start editing. Assume good faith. Attribute, don't assert. Balance by do. What? Statement from Jimbo Wales. Is this like Jimmy Wales, the Wikipedia founder guy, or one of them?
So there's this clip.
Don't hold on. Wait. Where's Jader?
Ooh, Jader Vernander.
Never mind. Hold on. The APANS is easily the most... I see links when they're posted in chat. You don't have to fucking re-spam APANS to the link. If it's posted, I've either opened it or I don't want to look at it, okay? Jesus.
Going around.
Okay. I believe the Wikipedia... Okay. Much more. I press point blank in a high-profile media interview about this article and answer with transparency and honesty. This article fails to meet our high standards and needs immediate attention. As many as you know, I've been leading an NPOV working group, neutral point of view working group, and studying the issue of neutrality on Wikipedia across many articles and topic areas, including Zionism. While this article is a particularly egregious example, there is much more work to do. Ooh, this is about... Oh, there's an article for Gaza genocide. Okay, interesting. This is article? Archive 22? Is this like a version of the article? I don't know how to navigate like these wiki talk help pages or whatever. The Gaza genocide, okay, is the ongoing, intentional, and systematic destruction of the Palestinian people of the Gaza Strip carried out by Israel during the Gaza War. It encompasses mass killings, deliberate starvation, infliction of serious bodily and mental harm, and preventing births. Damn. Other acts include blockading, destroying civilian infrastructure, destroying healthcare facilities, killing healthcare workers and aid seekers, causing mass forced displacement, committing sexual violence, and destroying educational, religious, and cultural sites. The genocide has been recognized by a United Nations Special Committee and Commissions of Inquiry, the International Association of Genocide Scholars, multiple human rights groups, numerous genocide studies, and international law scholars and other experts. Wow. Check out each of the footnotes. What, all of them? There's probably like a fucking 100. What do you mean? Do you want me to read all seven? Jesus Christ. All 700 footnotes? What?
That's what they want.
That's what Joe Mama wants. Wait.
DGG did not recognize it as a genocide, though. Is what the poll just said.
Why not?
I don't know. You'd
Hold
have to
on.
ask them.
Hello? Shut up.
Oh, you can do noises, but I can't, really. What'd my mom say?
She just chose me to quit stream early, and I'm telling her I need to stream for the people. What happened to your interest in Douglas Murray? I thought you liked most of what he had to say. No, he seems like a super fucking Israel cuck. He's just smarter than Dave Smith, so it was funny watching him fuck up Dave Smith, because Dave Smith is fucking retarded. And then Larry Sanger. Is he another big Wikipedia guy? Glad to see user Jimbo Wales weighing in here, and we agree. Trouble goes to the very title of the article, Gaza Genocide. The fact is that many of those involved in the real world controversy deny that it is best described as a genocide by simply declaring in wiki voice the genocidal acts included mass killings, etc. Wikipedia is taking one side in an ongoing dispute. This is contrary to Wikipedia's long-standing rules about neutrality, which require Wikipedia not to take sides in such disputes. Neutrality does not require that Wikipedia reject the accusation of genocide. Rather, it requires that the article not assert the accusation and that it is true. I wonder if Wikipedia should like have Wikipedia and then like Wiki Current or something that like having doing like an encyclopedia type thing on current events is very, very, very challenging. Like almost impossible to be strictly, truly neutral. I wonder if they should like for Wikipedia, like the topic has to be at least 10 years old or something, and you just can't talk about any. I don't know. That seems like that's what Wikinews was supposed to be, kind of. If I recall, yeah, it just seems really hard to figure this out. Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is there. Like a dust settled policy, kind of like that. Yeah. $11 million pot. Damn, $11 million pot? Is this a TV cash game? $11 million. Check out the Holocaust, 40 pages of arguing why it's about the Jews only. Ooh, is it about the Jews only? I didn't know that. I thought Shoah was like the word for like just the Jewish part.
Weren't they killing like
they mass exterminated tons of people. Wait, so is it technically incorrect to say, is it 7 million Soviets were killed in the Holocaust or whatever? Is that incorrect to say? Do you say only Jews were killed in the Holocaust, but other people were killed? In the war? No, not in the war. There were other people that were put in the camps. Right? Wait, am I making this up? Now I'm wondering if Holocaust only ever referred to... No, there were way more killed in the war. How many people killed Nazi death camps It wasn't that many Soviets, but yes. I thought it was more than Jews. Or maybe the total other people. Maybe it was like 6 million Jews and 7 million of like a total other groups of people or something. Like 11 or 12 million.
Can you not
total?
make a 6-7 meme
Or 12,
about this
13
topic?
million? Good one.
I didn't even know 3.3 million Soviet prisoners of war fucking died. I had no clue that happened.
Well, they hated each other, so
That's a fuckload of people, Jesus.
a lot of people died in World War II. Some big memes. Death camps refers very explicitly to a handful of camps. The POW camps the Soviets died in were just massive open-air prisons. Interesting. It sucks that it's so hard to label shit fucking appropriately because everybody just wants to like carry around like the moral weight of the word, so it's like impossible to fucking... okay, whatever. Okay. Poker hand. 11. Okay, what do we got? 8-6 of diamonds. Nice. I like how we don't start the hand at the beginning. Fucking cringe. And then King Jack. Okay, so we got 2 pair with a backdoor to a right to a flush, obviously. And then this guy is looking for no, not a flush. I'm sorry, a full house. This guy's looking for a flush. That's it, right?
I think those are the
these
only
odds
outs.
updated. Oh, he just hit his flush. I'm sorry, the ace comes out. Okay.
Foxen made the flush.
Oh, it's good, but
And Katola has completely underrepped his hand. Well, he can't fold.
it's hard to. I don't know who's playing well or not well. I don't know how this hand proceeds because I don't know what the pre-flop action was. The blinds are 30-60. The pot is 300K. I'm assuming there's no ante. So there wasn't a lot of pre-flop raising, right? They would only need 120 to get 2 players in.
Is this just heads up? Oh, it's heads up, yeah.
Oh my.
Foxen made the flush.
It's heads up. Okay.
And Katola has completely underrepped his hand.
Katola bets 2.5 pre-flop and checks the flop. Foxen calls both and checks the flop. Okay.
Can improve, might have the best hand. There's the call, 800,000 in the middle. Can Aussie boat up? He can.
That's so brutal, dude.
It's a
Oh my god, that's such a cooler.
full house versus the flush.
What are you gonna do?
And he checked
It's heads up. I mean, you just lose here. I think you always lose here.
back the flop.
There's nothing. What do you do?
He's so disguised.
Well, hold on. Let's see. Hold on.
Thinks he's got Katola cooked.
Cooked. My zoomers.
550, not an overbet.
550K, that's right.
Foxen's going to have a very hard time getting away from any price here.
Yeah. Well. If this guy raised, there's a few hands on the board. It's heads up though, so that's a very narrow range. But like, ace, king, king, jack are not like out of the question here, I guess. Obviously, but again, it's heads up. Are you putting them on just those 2? I mean, it's obviously, but hold on.
All in.
It also depends how he's been playing the whole fucking match,
In
right?
is the play.
And he ships it.
Ooh.
Is this guy slow rolling him? He has the nuts, right? Oh, aces. He's got the second nuts. No, he has the third nuts. King ace would also beat him, right? Ace king, sorry. But aces or ace king not raising more pre-flop would be kind of crazy, no?
God, I can't believe
You
it.
technically have a royal flush too.
Wait, king jack went all in? Wait, who went all in?
Foxen calls here.
Oh, I'm so retarded. Forget everything I said. I'm sorry, fuck. I don't even know these guys' names.
Nice.
My bad. I'm retarded. Forget everything I just said.
Foxen thinks he's got Katola cooked.
What is this? This overlay is confusing.
50, not an overbet.
550K, that's right.
Oh, no, wait. Who bet?
Foxen's going to have a very hard time getting away from any price here.
So
Oh,
that's
never mind. Hold on.
Foxen
No, no,
just
wait.
bet.
Shut up. I understand. I'm sorry. It's because this guy, it looks, the way the camera's moving, it looks like he's on the right and he's on the left. So I'm
Yeah, it
assuming
does.
this is the right, but it's switch. I see. Never mind. Jesus.
Not an overbet.
Okay.
550K, that's right.
Foxen's going to have a very hard time getting away from any price here.
All in.
All in is the play.
Okay. So he ships it all in.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. If Foxen calls here, it's just over.
But I mean, there are hands that obviously are in his range.
A lot of hands.
Well, there's not a lot that beats him. It's like no, actually there are a lot that beat him.
A good bit.
Jacks beat him, eights beat him, aces beat him,
Aces,
kings beat him.
Royal flush.
Well, any higher flush.
You look like a retard if you lose to a royal flush too.
He'll be down $6 million, and I don't see how he can fold.
Call.
He calls.
Could you get away from this? I don't know, man. I hate heads up.
Oh, he folded?
No, it said he called, right?
I
Catola
thought he
also
was throwing the
underrepped
cards
his
in.
hand
Oh.
because he checks the flop.
$1 million.
Sure, but
And I don't see how he can fold.
oh, he can't have eights. I'm sorry. Well, no, he could have eights. You're saying he blocks the flaws because he has one. It makes it less likely, but why is heads up worse? Because it's all luck based, and everybody that says differently is a fucking loser.
Call.
He calls. The biggest pot. $11 million.
There's a fucking coin flip during a heads up.
Am I retarded? How do aces beat him? When the board is paired, then you having a set in your, like, if you have a pocket pair in your hand and there's another card on the board as a set, it's three of a kind as a set. If you have a pocket pair in your hand, if the board is paired and you have a set, then you have a full house automatically. So if he has pocket aces, then he would have aces full of kings, ace, king, full house. If you have pocket jacks, pocket eights, all of those form full houses with the two kings on the board.
Foxen loses.
GG. Fucking gamer lingo.
I guess we have to finish.
But I mean, like, you have... How do you fold a flush heads up? I don't know. Fuck heads up. Who cares? Don't care. Don't care. Fuck heads up. It's cringe.
Fast Unique 71 says Destiny got demolished by Botez in that one poker stream and now hates head to head.
Nope.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure I won that. Based. Getting mugged while listening to brown noise, work focus, super deep 8 hours ambience. This is retarded. First gameplay I've ever seen of Expedition 33, and it's a UE5 Roblox obby. What's obby? Lobby? Am I missing
Lobby.
something? Base. I hope this game fucking loses the game of the year. Oh, obby is obstacle course. Gotcha. He mad. Oh. Okay. Is it cringe to take a picture to a barber for a haircut?
No.
Okay. What if the picture's of a video game character?
It depends on the video game character. If you take him fucking Cloud Strife, then yeah, that is pretty fucking cringe. But if you take him, I don't
Fuck
know.
you. Okay. Do we ever talk about on stream? I'm trying to figure out, sometimes my hair, like dries really well. It's like curly. What does it look like right now? Hold on. And sometimes it dries and it's like cringe and straight and cringe. Hold on. Now it's like, hold on. It's like okay.
Kind of curly.
But like, look, sometimes like here on the side, sometimes it dries and it's perfect. And it looks like I think the Gustav and Verso haircut guys, I think their shit looks cute.
I think you just need to start.
No, never mind. Not this guy. Hold on. I don't like his hair. Wait.
You need to not let fucking chance take over your hair, and you need to start styling it if you want it to look nice.
No,
and
fuck
using
that.
like curl cream and shit.
No, that's way too much work. Never mind. I don't like this guy's hair either. Look, this guy's hair. This. Sometimes my hair like naturally like does this. How do I make it?
You have to intentionally do that.
No, it does it on its own sometimes.
Sure, because of extenuating circumstances, but if you want it to always happen, you're going to have to style it.
Yeah, but there must be a way to control for those extenuating circumstances and make it happen all the time.
Sure, but we have no idea how you've done it.
I
even
didn't
once.
do anything. Sometimes it just dries perfectly, and sometimes it's straightened and fucked.
Do you just go to bed? Sometimes you go lay down after a shower and then wake up with it fixed, or...
No, it's always fucked after I wake up. Like this, I showered last night and then slept, so it's fucked.
Yeah.
There's a thing that I do sometimes, but I'm pretty sure this is just all in my head. I don't think it's doing anything. Sometimes I'll get out of the shower, and then sometimes I will... Stop licking hightail shit. I'm banning it. Stop. This game's never coming back. Sometimes I'll dry it, and then I will... And by dry it, I'm going to use a towel. Sometimes I'll dry it, and then I'll comb it, and then after I comb it, I'll heat it up with the towel again and shake my head. And sometimes that works, but I don't... Is that actually doing anything, or am I just... Is this all in my head?
It's probably doing something. My wife is the curl expert, so she might be able to help you. You like it a little bit of curled, right?
I like it a lot of curl. Wait. Where's a video of me? Hold on. How did I look in the Lila debate? Lila,
Oh, I know.
Destiny,
I think I know what you need to do. You need to not...
Wait. Almost, maybe?
Your
Is this-
destiny for making...
Give me a close-up. Yes, like this, I think is almost perfect.
To adopt a position.
They're a little bit...
Amen?
They're a little bit like separated. I don't know how to describe it, but like especially the sides are like almost perfect. Sometimes it does this. But then other times it does... Hold on. Piers, Morgan, Destiny, Israel? What was the most recent? That looks nice-ish. I was in studio for this one. Was this I in studio? Sometimes it just gets straight, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? Now it's like fucked.
Hello, are you talking about curls?
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm talking about curls or waves. I don't know.
Show them on the screen.
You're going to have to watch a stream.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch.
Yeah, I
the
know, but
stream.
like show them.
Okay, hold on.
That guy's bald, Steven. He has no curls.
What the fuck? Where am I?
Are you talking about the fucking bald man, or you want your hair to look like the guy on the left?
No, he's looking for himself. Just give him a second. He's going to freak out.
Where am I? Am I fucking crazy? I thought I just saw my... Wait.
That's you, dude. You've always been bald.
I'm losing it. It's over for me. I'm losing it.
Where the hell am I?
Give me a goddamn... Oh. Okay, like this is... Now this is crazy. Look, but they're like individual strands, and it's just crazy. This is not good.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
So that's
do you have
not good.
A photo of when you do like it.
Like this, hold on. I think is significantly better. It's more... It has more body. Is that what you... Especially the side. Look, the sides are like
More
curling up.
volume?
Or something, sure. Like it's not like it's more together. It's not like stringy.
So with curly and wavy hair, if you don't want to style it, but you really like how it comes out sometimes, you just have to figure out the factors that you're doing when you like it. So you have to pay attention when you're
Thanks, I
showering.
know, but I'm just curious if anybody knows the answer because I do random shit sometimes.
Probably
and sometimes
conditioner.
Yeah, I
like
use that
using
every
more
time. Duh.
conditioner.
I use way too much
I know,
conditioner.
but the quantity
I use a lot.
of conditioner.
I use more than every girl
That's
I've ever
good.
dated. Yeah, it is good. Yep.
I use like a quarter to half a cup of conditioner in my hair.
Oh, okay, well then you're the only one because every single girl I've ever dated will put like a little dollop in her hand and she'll be like,
Fuck no.
you're not supposed to use any conditioner that goes to your roots. Meanwhile, I'm
No.
fucking. I always need to
Drenching
buy.
it.
I need an
Oh, yeah.
extra thing of conditioner over. I use 3 to 2
Yup.
parts conditioner to shampoo. Okay, it's
Absolutely.
and it sits in my hair for about 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, I'll put in conditioner and then I'll brush my teeth. I'll soap everything out. I'll do all that. Okay, so I let it sit and do all the thing and then I rinse it out. Okay, I don't know. I just don't know why sometimes it looks.
Tell him about the scrunching
Also,
that he's got to
well,
do.
What is the scrunching?
Pause.
Wait.
What?
Scrunching is with your hands,
Oh, go
where first and foremost, something that helps in the shower is if when you have conditioner in your hair, you get your hands and you like you know a scrunching motion. Do you know what a scrunching motion is?
You know the Arnold.
I know what a
fucking hand?
scrunching motion is. What the fuck? Stop.
It's called squish to condish. That's the method. So when you have the conditioner in your hair, you squish to condish, and it helps the oils of the conditioner get deeper into the hair follicle. So that helps, and also probably something that you're noticing when your curl pattern is intact is that you're letting your hair air dry without fucking with it, without putting a headset on, without laying down or sitting on a couch and the back is rubbing up
Yeah,
on
that's
anything.
true. Yeah, for sure.
You don't want, while it's drying, anything to touch it, because then it'll just get fucked for the rest of the time.
Okay, so I need to shower in the morning, not
Squish to
fuck with my hair
condish.
after. Okay, what did you want, other
The
guy?
most important thing is
Kafka?
just not to manipulate it.
Okay, I was just gonna say, for my daughter, she's got pretty fine hair, but it does curl. One thing that we found that helps to avoid the stringiness and still get kind of like the curls of hair like going together is we use different gauges of brush. So like we might use if we use a brush where the teeth are further apart while her hair's still wet, that hair will get, those hairs will like bunch together into kind of like a bundle of hairs that will curl in the same direction.
Okay,
and then that
I
way it doesn't
bought-
come out as like a
okay.
big frizzy shit.
Hold on.
We got to get this guy to a black
Do
barber.
you use a normal towel? First and
He
fucking
does need to go to a black barber.
He does, yeah.
okay, he needs to not use a normal towel because the fibers of a normal towel.
Okay, I bought
What does he
a
need to
wide
use?
tooth
Hair
comb.
so bad.
This sucks. Wait, this thing? Because somebody's like, your last comb is a wide tooth. I bought this. I hate this. I think it always looks my hair look like a fucking goofball. I hate it. I think the fine tooth comb.
When do you
wavy hair.
use it? When do you use it?
After I get out of the shower.
So your hair's still wet.
Yeah, and then I hit it up with the towel.
One sec, let me put you on.
Peach
You
said
have
do
fine
not use the
curly
towel.
hair, or fine wavy hair, so you do not want
I
to
don't
listen
remember how
to
fine or
thick
thick
curly
your
hair
hair is.
advice. Very, very different. I hate those combs. What you need is a Denman brush. You also need to stop using those fuck-ass normal towels. Those fuck-ass normal towels have tiny little fibers that just steal all of the moisture from your hair. You need to use either a microfiber towel or my favorite, old t-shirts that you don't give a fuck about. Switching to that makes it so much less frizzy and keeps the curls or waves a little bit more like silky and like
Wait, you think
together.
that, so you let your hair just stay wet for a long time?
No, like out of the shower, instead of using a regular towel, like a body towel to soak up moisture out of your hair, I scrunch the wetness out of my hair with a t-shirt. Does that make sense?
Or a microfiber towel.
And then what? And then you just leave it wet?
What the fuck do you do? I leave it damp to dry. I put in products afterwards, but then I leave it to dry naturally, and I don't touch it.
Why even comb your hair? Does it tangle? Because if I don't comb it, it'll dry in crazy ways. And it'll be like chunked out. What?
This, I'm going to DM it to you. This brush will be good for your hair. Don't listen to the people that like those wide tooth combs. You have thin hair. So do I. You need something like this that's actually going to detangle it and
I just use a
Get
fine
it
tooth comb. Can I just use that?
If
You
you use a fine
can.
tooth comb, it's going to make all the hairs separate out though, and they might dry.
But when I separate them out, that's why I hit it up with the towel afterwards, and then they come back together. But they've been pre-separated, and then.
But you're hearing, you can't use the towel anymore, or you shouldn't. You just t-shirt or a microfiber towel.
Have
for
you
your
ever
hair.
blow dried your hair? What does it look like when you blow dry your hair?
I know. I try to stay away from heat.
So
No,
what
I'm
do
just wondering.
What do you do after your shower? You're asking me, like I scrunch the moisture out of my hair with a microfiber towel or a t-shirt, and you're asking, do I leave it wet? What the fuck do you do?
This is what
Suck
I
your
feel
hair?
like I do Do I soak my hair? Is that what?
Suck.
No, I have a fucking towel. The only person
So
who
you
sucks
just-
my hair is Yo Mama. What I'll do is I'll get out of the shower, okay? And then I take a towel, do my hair, and I dry it off a bit. Then I do my comb, and then I comb it like I'm parting it like my middle-class fuckboy roots tell me to. And then after I do that, then I take the towel again, and then and then after I dry it off, then I give my head a shake left to right, and then I do this, and then sometimes, like 80% of the time, if I do that whole process and I don't lay down, then it dries perfectly. Sometimes, 80% of the time.
Do the towel motion again. Are you telling me that you're taking a fuck-ass body towel and you're drying your hair off like a dog?
Yes,
You're
that's how I
just
do it.
scrumpling fucking everything up like a dog, like a golden retriever?
He's going to get a towel.
We're getting into
Yeah, I mean, what I learned with my quote unquote small amount of curls is you're supposed to just like sprinkle it and then get like most of the moisture out and then leave it and let it dry on
This is
its
actually
own.
horrifying.
Okay, this is what I do, okay? I come out, okay, I get out of the shower. My hair is super wet, okay? Then what I'll do is
Oh, it's the body towel.
I'll take, actually, it's a second towel, because I have a second towel.
Destiny, you
And
can
I'll
just
take
go get your hair wet right now and show
Type
us.
of towel, man. You can no.
I give it one of those. After I give it one of those, I take my comb, and then I do this. I comb it all.
No.
I do my part and everything. And then after I do that, then I hit it up with another.
But you
like that.
comb it
And then I
down?
like that. And then
You're killing me.
usually, then it's okay. That's how I do it, okay?
Oh, well, it looks great now.
Oh my god, your poor fucking curl pattern. You've killed me.
What? Usually it comes out okay.
You should try her method one time and see how it comes out.
God.
With the scrunchie?
Not the scrunchie.
I endorse the Denman brush. That's the right thing to get.
Get
That's what
that
we use,
brush
it works
and
really
then
well.
try to do a t-shirt, but you're supposed to leave your hair like pretty damp and then kind of like scrunkle it. And then it's supposed to take a while to dry. You're not supposed to like bone dry your hair with your towel.
Well, it's not bone dry, but I'm just sucking all the
Yeah.
excess moisture out.
Yeah, the problem is that when you're like you're drying off your hair like I dry off my dog after he goes to the lake.
So your
Like,
dog is literally
that-
covered with hair. So it sounds like that's like a good model to use for hair. No?
Well, no, not necessarily. You want to have some sort of fucking wave pattern. My dog doesn't give a fuck. You do though.
Well, your dog probably doesn't have curly hair, wavy hair, whatever the fuck.
Leo does, actually.
He does.
Well-
And when I do his hair, like when I bathe him, I squish to condition his little ears and they form these perfect little curls and it's adorable.
Try to use a towel. Try to squish your hair with the towel and then just not try and like get it super dry and see how
Use
it comes
a
out next
t-shirt.
time. Use t-shirt, I meant.
Don't do whatever the fuck that was. Just don't do that for one wash.
I'm gonna
Just-
do it tomorrow morning, just like that, and I'm gonna make my hair look as perfect as possible. I'm gonna follow my strategy perfectly, okay? And then we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. All right.
Okay. Good luck. Hey, I want advice on my hair, but also I'm just gonna do the same fuck ass thing? Huh?
Well, I'm not consistently doing the same thing all the time, okay?
Okay. Good luck.
Okay.
Fuck that.
I just
piece
came
of
on
shit.
to
What?
give the advice about the brush. I didn't realize it got kind of weird. I didn't want to like head out in the middle of all the drama. So that's all. You have a good one.
Love
I
you.
hope your hair looks good tomorrow.
Thank you.
You too.
Jesus. Yeah, a lot of people said they liked my hair in the Lauren De Laguna video thing. I think that looks horrible. I hate the way my hair looks there. I don't know how anybody... Oh, this picture. This is good. Kind of, yeah.
It looks nice, yeah.
This, with the meth jaw and everything, yes. This is good. This is perfect, basically. This is horrible.
That Lauren video is like the best fucking
This is
smile
horrible. How
you've
can
ever
anybody
given.
thinks this looks good? This is terrible.
You look so happy though. Hair looks bad, but you look happy. Chatting.
Yep.
After hiding it for years, I need to complain. I've been outed. If you haven't heard the news about me, just watch this clip, and to my everlasting shame, you'll understand.
I had to learn at a very young age to read people. I think that's my superpower, actually. Just being able to look at someone and sense danger or sense deceit. And by the way, I should mention with Steven Crowder, I have never been a fan. He just always gave me the energy of a pathological liar. I trust my gut. I don't trust influencer campaigns. My gut started to tell me that they suddenly began panicking when I discovered the Egyptian planes. What? They did what we now term a pre-bunking, and then they send out like a full fleet against you to not even actually debunk you, but they're just so extreme in not debunking you.
Like using
they
their
sent
gut?
undercover operatives to sign up for my private book club that I kept on Tuesday. They took out a clip of that book club, from that book club, and accused me of accusing Erica of murdering her husband. I mean, they manufactured that claim out of thin air. And then they made it go viral. They sent it out to all the right people, Steven Crowder, right?
I got that
because
email.
I said he was betrayed by everyone. Obviously, what I meant was Erica Kirk murdered her husband. And this was all happening because I mentioned the Egyptian plane. I am certain. I am telling you this information has been completely verified. I am showing you this on a spreadsheet. Now, these are all the instances in which this plane,
lady's fucking batshit, huh?
68 instances that this plane crossed with Erica.
Okay. The Egyptian plane. I can spend a lot of time. No, Wichita, Kansas, by the way, is listed no less than 8 times as a destination on that spreadsheet for the plane SU-BTT. It's an Egyptian-owned Dassault Falcon 7X. And just so you know, Wichita is like one of those primary, it's like a global hub in certified FAA service centers. And Dassault has had Wichita State University, a partnership with them since 2015.
Wait, Wichita? What is the abbreviation for that airport? Wichita Airport. ICT? I don't know if I've ever connected to this airport in my life. Okay.
And this, what she just showed you would be very much in line with basic service maintenance repairs. And of course, Candace, with the initial story, missed
that might be true for stuff like that. I don't know. That might be true for repairing your planes. I wouldn't know anything about that.
The time of the flight of departure from Provo by about 6 hours. Confused coordinated universal time with Utah time. So none of this has, none of this spreadsheet does 0 to some.
Wait, did she
coordinated universal time with Utah time? So.
Did she really say that, or did she just make a mistake? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. These are retarded. These are small municipal airports for private planes. Gotcha. Gemini 3, help me understand DDoS. Nerd face. A distributed denial of service attack is a malicious attempt to disrupt a server, service, or network by overwhelming it with a flood of internet traffic. Think of it like a digital traffic jam intentionally caused by thousands of cars blocking a highway so that no regular traffic can get through. Unlike a standard denial of service attack, which comes from a single source, a DDoS attack uses a vast network of hijacked devices called a botnet to launch the attack from many different locations at once, making it much harder to stop. Interactive simulation, the attack in action. Use the controls below to launch a simulated attack on a server and see how traffic volume affects its stability. Whoa. Damn.
Is this the fucking AI mode?
Maybe? I don't know. I'm guessing this is all generated by Gemini.
Shit.
Oh my god, look at the firewall. It's defending it. Whoa. Ah! Is it Gemini or Gemini? Gemini? Or it might be Gemini. I did all this in AI mode in Google search. Go to Google AI and click the drop-down menu. Available today for Google AI Pro and Ultra. Wow. Tell me when it can make porn, and then I'll care.
It can.
Then why don't you plug in your mom and find out? Okay, Gemini 3 is insane. People can't stop just building things. 10 wild examples. 1 theme park game from 90s. Remade in hours. Whoa! That's crazy. 2, build fun games in minutes. Imagine bragging about AI that's literally just remaking games that have been made a million times before in the past. It's fucking cringe. Anybody want to play Battlefield 7?
Wait, you want to play Battlefield?
Don't worry about it. We need to get a vibe code on stream. I might do a little bit later. We'll see. To get this Vesta board working. Destiny, does the distributed in DDoS refer to attack distribution across a botnet or the fact that it's to a server resulting in distributed denial? Good one, but I think it refers to the attackers. Oh no, AOC. Warning. Works with and is supported by genocidal J Street lobby. Zionist tracker. Oh no. Not good.
Cooked. Have you ever met AOC?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I guess I'm curious about it, yeah.
Ask me off stream sometime.
Pilot the questions. We asked Copilot the questions straight from Microsoft's Windows commercial. Does talking to your computer work like in its TV ad? Can you get me a link to one that's in stock?
Here's the link to Best Buy. Link to bestbuy.com/11bestbuy/sure website. And it's for most definitely in stock. And it's for most definitely in stock. And it's available for pickup or delivery. And it's for most definitely in stock.
Cool.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Copilot. Microsoft is betting the future of the company on becoming infrastructure for autonomous AI agents. Here's Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella from a recent interview on the Dwarkesh podcast.
Just imagine that these models actually will be able to actually use a computer as well as a human.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying. I kind of look at it and say our business, which today is an end user tools business, will become essentially an infrastructure business in support of agents doing work.
Can we slow down for a sec? That's where the company wants to go. But right now, it's advertising that you can talk to Windows with its Copilot AI assistant.
How do I go there?
That's Rio Secreto. You'd fly into Cancun.
How do I go there?
To explore the downloads folder, you'll need to bring the File Explorer window to the front.
How do I go there? Did I miss something? Probably. Why all the AI videos / research the past couple days? I'm not researching. I don't know why it's all... I feel like we've seen a lot the past couple days. I don't know what the fuck happened.
To visit the Grand Cayman Crystal Caves, you can plan a trip to the Cayman Islands and book a guided tour.
How do you know this crystal cave is in Grand Cayman?
I deduced it from the file name of the image you're viewing.
The cave is actually in Mexico, but then I noticed it's just reading the file name. So then I tried changing it, and now that cave is in New Jersey.
To visit the New Jersey Crystal Caves, head to the Sterling Hill Mining Museum in Ogdensburg.
Here, Copilot finds a mic used in a video.
That looks like the HyperX Quadcast 2S.
Where can I get it nearby?
It's in stock at Best Buy.
I tried so many times, and it never found me the right mic. It kept insisting it was a last-gen model or a totally different brand. What mic is she using in this video?
Looks like the video features a Shure SM7B microphone.
How about helping me with my work, like analyzing some simple laptop benchmark scores? Easy math. Nope, not for Copilot. It can't decipher what number is higher.
In the Geekbench scores, the Asus ROG Strix Scar 16 tops the list in both CPU multi-core and GPU OpenCL benchmarks.
It can't really do
CPU multi. The
Not good.
Asus ROG Strix Scar 16 tops the list in both CPU multi-core and GPU OpenCL benchmarks.
It can't really do any of the things Microsoft's ads say it can do right now. But that's not stopping Microsoft from advertising these abilities, and its CEO talking about restructuring the company around AI agents doing everything.
Is it most definitely in stock?
Yes.
If you want to see all the ways Copilot frustrated me, check out my full review at TheVerge.com.
I will never trust a tech demo after that Google AI assistant shit. Wait, wasn't that like 6 years ago? I remember that. I don't think we have that yet, right? That was crazy. Also, post the meme with the hanging guy. For every gamer that's ever seen a tech demo of a video game ever. Huh, we've been here for 20 years, my friend.
What's that one space game that's supposed to come out? Oh, Star Citizen.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
That was so fucking funny. Thanks whoever linked this one.
Windows sucks. There, I said it right at the top, so the algorithm can put this episode in the same playlist as rants about dishwasher soap pods and the world's most disappointing sports car. But if you stick with me past the cold open, I'm going to do something that won't actually get me invited to many brand loyalty barbecues. I'm going to argue that Windows really does suck for some people, and some of the time, and for reasons that are pretty specific once you peel back the paint. And because I helped paint a few coats of those myself back in the 90s, I'm going to show you where the brushstrokes went wrong, who they were meant for, and how I would fix it if, heaven help us, I were suddenly put in charge. Now, I worked on Windows, and most of my code is likely still in there, so of course I'm personally invested. I'm also of the firm belief...
All this guy's videos are the same title, by the way. Windows sucks, how I'd fix it by a retired Microsoft Windows engineer. That's every video title? Windows sucks, how I'd fix it by retired Microsoft... I wrote Task Manager 30 years later, the secrets you never knew. Don't tell my wife I bought another... What? Okay, they're not all the same. Okay, I don't know why you said that. Is that a
If
joke?
the Windows kernel is every bit as powerful and robust as the Linux kernel. But the software, which is then layered on top of the kernel, the pieces that you and I interact with daily, have very different priorities and what that means to users like you and me. I also want to be crystal clear about one thing up front. I left Microsoft more than 20 years ago. I'm not on the org chart, I don't sit in on any meetings, and nobody's calling to ask for my opinion. I get no credit for the wins, and I take no blame for the boneheaded decisions, though I reserve the right to admire one and roast the other. That distance also means that I don't have to be an apologist for the product. We can be fair, honest, and a little unsparing because the people who love Windows the most are usually the same ones who are getting burned by it at 2 a.m. So let's start with my core thesis, that Windows has spent a decade or two rounding off the edges to make the on-ramp smoother for the widest possible audience. And that's not a moral failing, that's a business decision. When you sell a product to a billion humans, you design the UI the same way that the highway department designs exit ramps. Long, gentle, forgiving curves that make it hard to screw up at 40 miles an hour. The problem is that power users don't want to drive 40. Like Sammy said, when you go that slow, it's hard to steer. So they drive at 85 on slick tires with 3 monitors and a text editor open on every screen. The things that you do to protect novices, like hiding the sharp tools, adding guardrails, narrating every step.
Wait, fuck, hold on. This guy sounds like he's not fucking retarded, so I'm gonna listen, hold on. More detailed, sorry.
Have very different priorities, and what's still in there, so of course I'm personally invested. I'm also of the firm belief that the Windows kernel is every bit as powerful and robust as the Linux kernel. But the software, which is then layered on top of the kernel, the pieces that you and I interact with daily, have very different priorities, and what that means to users like you and me. I also want to be crystal clear about one thing up front. I left Microsoft more than 20 years ago. I'm not on the org chart, I don't sit in on any meetings, and nobody's calling to ask for my opinion. I get no credit for the wins, and I take no blame for the boneheaded decisions, though I reserve the right to admire one and roast the other. That distance also means that I don't have to be an apologist for the product. We can be fair, honest, and a little unsparing because the people who love Windows the most are usually the same ones who are getting burned by it at 2 a.m. So let's start with my core thesis, that Windows has spent a decade or two rounding off the edges to make the on-ramp smoother for the widest possible audience. And that's not a moral failing, that's a business decision. When you sell a product to a billion humans, you design the UI the same way that the highway department designs exit ramps. Long, gentle, forgiving curves that make it hard to screw up at 40 miles an hour. The problem is that power users don't want to drive 40. Like Sammy said, when you go that slow, it's hard to steer. So they drive at 85 on slick tires with 3 monitors and a text editor open on every screen. The things that you...
One thing that sucks about markets is that having one product that works for everybody introduces a ton of benefits to all the users. So if we look at a thing like Google, for instance, super wide utilization of Google services allows you to have one account that is synchronized across a ton of different platforms. That's just a super convenient thing to have. If I have a Google sign-in, I can use this to OAuth anywhere. It might work for my phone. Like, there's just a ton of benefit that comes from that. And then you also get all the benefits of having a large-scale company that is doing product support and everything else, and updates and security and everything for your particular piece of software. So lots of benefits. Lots of other uses on the same platform. Easier to troubleshoot. If you've got issues or problems, there's probably other people that have spoken about it. But a big trade-off that you make there is that you lose a lot of specificity, which used to be nice in software, in user forms or whatever else. So if you want to have like an OS that's built just to model the throbbiest, veiniest girl cock ever, well, Windows might not work because that's not like a feature request from a lot of users. And Windows might actually implement features that make it harder to model the best girl cock because they're trying to appeal to so many people. So you lose a lot of the specificity in exchange for some broader convenience or usability. This is a true trade-off, and it's something I don't like about a lot of software these days, I guess. I'm not like a software expert, but it's just like everything is kind of made to appeal to as many people possible so that you have like a singular pipeline. You've got one development environment. You've got one project that you're working on that you try to make as applicable to as many areas as possible. You don't have to upkeep as many different platforms.
To protect novices, like hiding the sharp tools, adding guardrails, narrating every step with a balloon tip, they turn it to real friction for the people who live in the OS all day. It's the right strategy for the median user, but the wrong one for the noisy tail of people who influence everybody else's opinion. Back in the Bomber days, the chant was developers, developers, because Windows needed an app ecosystem more than anything else. Well, mission accomplished. The development stack is solid, the tooling is good, WSL exists, and the platform serves the world's software reasonably well. So today the chat should really be power users, because they set the tone. They're the ones that friends call for advice, the ones who answer the questions at work, and the ones who go on Reddit and X and shape the narrative. When they feel respected, they praise Windows as the universal adapter at the heart of the PC. But when they feel patronized, they feel respected, they praise Windows as the universal adapter at the heart of the PC. But when they feel patronized, they defect to Linux for a real shell and sometimes to macOS for a more coherent, if narrower, experience. And the tragedy is that we don't have to choose. We can make an OS that welcomes newcomers without putting the experience in mitten mode. So how would I fix it? Well, I'd add a clutch pedal. Let's call it professional mode, call it Windows Advanced Server, call it Paint It Black. I don't care about the marketing. I want a first-class, system-wide setting that flips the operating characteristics of the OS from safe and chatty to deterministic and terse. It's not a skin, it's not a theme, it's like a treaty between the OS and the operator.
While stuff like this would be awesome, the decisions at the end of the day from owners are always going to be, what can we work on that makes the most money, and what can we ignore because our users don't generally care. We're not going to make a lot of money doing it. If I can throw a team of 10 people at a product that I can start charging a fuck ton of money for, versus I can throw a team of, even a smaller team of people at something that might be really appreciated by a very narrow subset of people, and unfortunately the software world is probably going to be people who are less likely to pay than an ordinary customer, it's harder to justify from an ownership perspective of why you should work on those projects. That being said, I super support the concept of what he is talking about. Like, I really wish there was a better I wish there was like a better Windows OS thing that you could work on that wasn't as obnoxious as like the Windows experience is now. Yeah.
So when you turn it on, three things change across the board. First, verbosity and nudging drops to zero. No app suggestions, no consider using Microsoft this or that.
His argument is that the narrow subset is who sets the tone in the culture of what Windows means. That might be true for online talk, but I feel like companies over the past 15 years have gotten better at ignoring power users and trusting either market research or something else more. Because there have been times when power users were screeching against a thing and it seemed like a horrible decision. And even some companies would listen to power users, but then the other companies are like, nah, we're just going to axe this. We think you guys are fucking retarded. And that ended up being a really good business decision. In my lifetime, the elimination of Flash, maybe from iOS and from Apple or whatever, that decision happened. People have been talking about dropping support for Flash fucking forever. And then I think, was it Steve Jobs that made a statement? They just came out and dropped it finally. And I know people were mad about that, although ultimately HTML5 and everything else, I guess, kind of moved forward on that. The adoption of, or rather the elimination of the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack was a thing that people screeched about. There were cell phone ads making fun of it. Oh, our phone has an 1/8 inch stereo jack. And now the whole market is Bluetooth only. The whole market basically moved off of that wired headphone thing. Social media having feeds that were chronological, That used to be the thing. You would click and it would show you everything that had been updated or happened from, since you'd logged in last, to having a tailored feed. Everybody was against that. Everybody said, no, show me, even you can find videos of me saying this. Show me my chronological feed. I don't want to see whatever your algorithm is serving me up. And now everything uses algorithm guided content. So much so that chronological stuff doesn't even matter. It doesn't even factor anymore. So I don't know how much power users are actually guiding the situation. When he talked about power users complaining about development tools, that was a real problem, I think, is I think in the past, development on Windows was like a challenge. People would have to buy a Mac machine or have some second install or whatever to develop in a Windows environment. It was actually difficult. But now he says like the dev stack exists in order to do this. But that was like a real problem, not just like a power user bitching and moaning about a thing,
Verbosity and nudging drops to 0. No app suggestions. No consider using Microsoft this or that. No web search in your local search unless you actually ask for them. Second, control collapses into a single authoritative place. If something can be changed in settings, then it lives there and it has parity with whatever was left behind in the control panel. No more scavenger hunting. Third, the tool change should grow some teeth. And control collapses into a single authoritative place. If something can be changed, 0. No app suggestions. No consider using Microsoft this or that. No web search in your local search unless you actually ask for them. Second, control collapses into a single authoritative place. If something can be changed in settings, then it lives there and it has parity with whatever was left behind in the control panel. No more scavenger.
I agree with this. Like, how many different ways can I change like the volume on a thing? It can't be that there are so many different ways to do I hate that. Oh, did they finally get rid of the little? Oh no, yeah, how many different ways can I hate this. It drives me crazy. Make one spot to access these settings. And maybe for some cases you can have little shortcuts. Like having just a volume bar here is fine, but like having so many different places in the OS that basically change the same thing, that drives me fucking wild. Holy shit.
Hunting. Third, the tool change should grow some teeth. Windows Terminal becomes the default console. Winget is first party and complete. OpenSSH, tar, curl, grep, and all their friends are unambiguously available and already on the path for you. WSL is treated like a peer, not a pet.
Wait, am I crazy? I thought all of this was just... Isn't this all default available in PowerShell, or do I have like Windows 11 Pro or something? Or he might be meaning something that I don't understand. Not all of it? Oh, okay.
If you flag yourself as a power user, then the OS takes you at your word and stops second-guessing you constantly. And that gets us pretty far, but the where's my shell bit is just the tip of the iceberg. If you listen to the gripes that generate real heat today, there are 3 or 4 big buckets. Privacy and telemetry, being forced into a Microsoft account during setup, updates that surprise like a SWAT team advance, and the general feeling that your desktop is the last unmonetized surface in a world that hates empty space. And I'm sure they all...
I'm sorry, hold on. He just spoke to my soul. 1 second.
Privacy and telemetry to generate real heat today. There are 3 or 4 big buckets. Privacy and telemetry.
There's so much information that just gets sent out to everything. It's just so much shit that goes out. Ordinarily, I'm one of the guys who's like, do you really care about your privacy? Who the fuck cares about your privacy? Whatever, it's fucking bullshit. No one cares. You guys don't care. Fuck it. Let the advertisers know what I jerk off to. I don't care. But like when it's gotten to the point to where I still remember when I set up the studio downstairs when we were getting the computer set up and I installed Windows and like a OneDrive thing popped up and I was seeing files from like an install from like 6 years ago. I'm like, what? Where the fuck is this shit even coming from? What the fuck? That's just crazy. I don't know what is like leaking out there in any like that's just, yeah, that drives me insane. There's way too much information being sent out from your OS. I just feel like it's crazy sometimes. Yeah.
Being forced into a Microsoft account during setup.
This is part of it, is that obsession with the Microsoft account during setup is like, I hate it. Let me just have my OS. Please just let me have my operating system. I don't need it to be software as a service. I'll pay $1,000 for an OS. We get them like once every fucking 6 years now anyway. Okay, I'll pay a lot. Just give me an OS. It's not a fucking login account, okay?
Updates that surprise like a SWAT team advance
And then this thing, I blame Steam for starting this trend, although I'm sure other companies done it too. This thing of like there's a weird update like every month or whatever, or it's like, oh, new Steam update, oh, new update, oh, new Discord does this now too. Oh, update. Especially when some of these updates will come in and they'll rearrange your shit that you've gotten rid of in the past. So I don't know if Windows still does this, but like if you would disable OneDrive or whatever, every now and then an update would come by and hey, I see you missing OneDrive. Let me go ahead and put that back on there for you. God, I hate this shit.
a general feeling that your desktop is the last unmonetized surface in a world that hates empty space.
True.
And I'm sure they all have good faith justifications inside Redmond. They all feel from the outside, though, like rough edges on a product that kind of forgot who's paying whom, assuming you are paying. Let's talk telemetry first, because it's the most radioactive.
You can install modified Windows ISOs that remove all the garbage. Yeah, but do you understand how fucked that sounds? I understand what you're saying. Sorry. I understand what you're saying. I have one of those modified installs. There's a name for that Chris Titus guy recommends, it's like a debloated Windows thing that you can put on a thumb drive and you can do whatever. Yeah.
Word. There's a legitimate tension here.
No, you can install the legit LTSC build from Microsoft that doesn't come with any bullshit. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that is included in that other thing or not, but
operating systems are genuinely too complex to tune blindly. You need field data to know what crashes, what hangs, and what users are actually doing with the operating system. The kernel is where a bad day can take a whole machine down, and the last thing you want to do at Ring Zero is a bunch of guesswork. I've explained in other episodes why kernel mode is the dangerous end of the pool. When code in the kernel misbehaves, the only safe option is to halt the system and crash, because continuing risks corrupting user data in subtle ways that are worse than just rebooting.
like I would consider myself a very advanced computer user, not a developer or whatever. But like, yeah, I don't want to, don't make me have to fucking, anytime there's some shit where it's like, oh, if you don't want to have the, if you don't want to have your Microsoft OneDrive account, there's like an easy way to do this. You just have to hook up an IV to your body so that blood is flowing into your fucking processor while you do a satanic ritual that involves you praying to like the demon Thalos, and then you go into your registry editor and then you modify these 4 keys, but don't touch the other one, because if you do, you might corrupt your whole, like, it's like, Jesus, fuck me, bro. I shouldn't have to go through this stressful shit just to not have Cortana ask me if she wants to sync my fucking porn of my mom everywhere, okay? Jesus.
And crash because continuing risks corrupting user data in subtle ways that are worse than just rebooting. And that's not a Microsoft quirk. It's how every serious OS behaves when Ring Zero equals wrong, including Linux and macOS. The difference is the Linux screen goes black, the Mac screen goes pink, and Windows goes blue. And the realistic fix isn't no telemetry. The fix is radical transparency and control. Because if I were king, Windows would ship with a privacy ledger. Think of it as an always available system log for outbound telemetry. Every packet that the OS wants to send on your behalf gets recorded as an entry with a plain English Y, a version schema, and a link to the documentation. You can click any entry and mute that category, globally or per app, with immediate effect. You can export the ledger, diff it across releases, and audit it like you'd audit firewall rules. Maybe add a nuclear airplane mode for analytics that the OS respects everywhere. And because this ledger is part of the power user persona, you can lock it so future updates can't resurrect categories that you've killed off without your say so.
Wait, when he says categories, does he?
Analytics that the OS respects everywhere. And because this ledger is part of the power user persona, you can lock it so future updates can't resurrect categories that you've killed off without your say so.
He might be talking about like the OneDrive stuff or whatever. But like, I don't know if you notice this. You know that you can't OneDrive. Wait, hold on. Okay, it's empty. Why is this even on my computer? What is it even? Ah! No, wait, I clicked it. Now it's asking me to set it up. No! Whoa, I didn't even click anything and it just disappeared. Did it? It didn't just sign me in, did it? Wait, hold on. No.
They can't see.
Okay, set up OneDrive. No, I don't even know how this is back on my computer again. Why do I have a OneDrive folder here? It was an update that probably brought it back. This thing where you can't like you can't delete these folders if they've got an icon. Did you know that? Like, you can't delete the music folder. It will always come back. What? Why are you dictating to me the folders? It's gone now. But if what is this OneDrive folder? Hold on. Fuck me.
Wasn't like that on Vista.
Like, what kind of an interaction is happening here that I'm just browsing folders on my computer? Why is it that when I double click it, what is happening? I'm in a folder right now. Like, this drives me crazy.
Who are you people? Why are you here?
I hate it. Oh my God. But yeah, the fact that you can't delete these folders and they always reappear after a while is so fucking annoying.
If Microsoft believes a given stream is non-negotiable, make the case in the open and take the
For people that were asking before, there's a utility that you can download that this guy recommends. He walks through like just basically how to do like very, very, very slimmed down Windows installs.
The Windows,
which is nice. This is what I'm using on my stream PC right now. I'll probably change my game PC to this at some point. But there is a program that you can, it's like apt-get or WinGet or whatever in PowerShell, and then you just run this and it. But I'm sorry. There's a utility to create a Windows install USB thing as well, without even having to do this before. You can do this afterwards too, but it creates an ISO on the thumb drive that's like a super stripped down version of Windows that doesn't have all the extra bullshit. It's nice.
PR lumps. Tell the truth and let the grown-ups decide. Now the Microsoft account thing. Now I can understand why a cloud identity is the default. People lock themselves out of local passwords. They want to roam their settings. They forget their BitLocker keys. They synchronize.
You should go into startup services and turn off OneDrive servers from starting up. Then you don't have to worry about it again. That might be true now. I don't know. I don't believe you, though. Usually all this shit will come back on certain Windows updates, but I don't know. Maybe now it doesn't.
Passwords. They want to roam their settings. They forget their BitLocker keys. A synchronized identity with device recovery hooks solves real problems. But a default is not a cudgel, and the current out-of-the-box experience too often feels like the latter. Put the choice on one honest screen. Continue with a Microsoft account, continue with a local account. No tricks, no connect to the internet to see what your options are, no dark patterns. And if you choose local, the OS should explain once and then stop asking. We used to pride ourselves on not confusing policy with preferences. Let's go back to that. Windows updates are the next big elephant in the room. I've spent more mornings than I care to remember with my coffee in one hand and a blue screen in the other, so to speak. So I'm sympathetic to the need for security updates and the urgency behind them. But the cadence and the choreography matter. When you push to 1 billion machines, you can't be surprised that the last few percent are doing something you didn't test for. When those machines belong to power users and small businesses, it isn't a rounding error. It's the public narrative. The fix isn't a magic bullet. It's a new social contract. In Pro Mode, the OS adopts scheduled, deterministic Windows maintenance by default. It never reboots you out from under work. It never applies a feature experience pack that changes the UI behavior outside that window. It surfaces the dependency graph in plain language before you commit and accept. Like this update modifies the graphics stack and will reset your graphics driver. So you can pick to do it on the weekend instead of during the meeting. If something goes wrong, rollback is one click and complete. And that means updates are staged with 2 kernels and 2 user lands ready to boot. If the new one fails health checks at logon, the loader pivots automatically to the last known good one. We learned this discipline in the data center world because we had to. People don't tolerate downtime at that scale, and there's no reason that the client can't behave with the same dignity. Next, we come to ads, nags, and suggestions. I get it. There's a whole field of product management that believes in discoverability through gentle prompts. And yes, a billion-user platform should teach new capabilities. But I think we've crossed the line over to where the operating system feels like a sales channel for all their other properties. And
This is the thing. Like, listen, I get it. If I'm using some program and you want to sell me some shit in a program, that's fine, okay? But I should be safe in my home, in my operating system. If I walked into my kitchen and all of a sudden there was like a billboard there for a Coke, I'd be like, bro, get out of my house. Now, when I walk outside and I see a billboard, that's fine. But when I'm in my OS and they're like, go to Windows Store and buy this. Oh, go to do this. Go buy it. It's like, no, excuse me. This is my operating system. Just leave me and my little programs alone. I don't need you to advertise to me in this space. The fuck?
Go back to Windows XP.
Corrosive in a
Shut up.
way that telemetry never will be. When the OS suggests, hey, maybe you should switch browsers after you explicitly chose another one, that's not onboarding. That's just disrespect. When the start menu shows sponsored apps, you put a price on my attention on my machine. And the fix here is both easy and hard. Easy because it's just a switch in Pro Mode that zeroes the entire suggestion pipeline. And it's hard because it's going to take somebody with cojones to tell a few internal dashboards to go paddle down a different river, but it's worth it. Trust is more valuable than any click-through metric, and right now, this is what people mean when they say Windows sucks. They're not complaining about the NT thread scheduler or the I/O stack. They detest the experience of being sold to by your own computer that you already own. If you're thinking, okay, Dave, that's a lot of philosophy. Where are the nuts and bolts? We'll pull up a stool. One quiet example of getting it right in the last cycle was adding native support for popular archiver formats and giving us a proper sudo command. Those are baby steps towards the world I'm describing. Where are the nuts and bolts? We'll pull up a stool. One quiet example of getting it right in the last cycle was adding native support for popular archiver formats and giving us a proper sudo command.
Okay.
Those are baby steps towards the world I'm describing, making the obvious tools first class and stop sending people on scavenger hunts. If you're going to ship a console by default, ship the one that people actually want to live in and put the batteries in the box. I remember 25 to 30 years ago, there were internal discussions around acquiring a popular C shell and making it the new default console. It didn't come to anything, but I like to imagine what the Windows world would be like today if it had. Another deep fix lives in the land where power and fragility meet, kernel versus user mode. In recent years, we've all seen what happens when third-party drivers in the kernel get it wrong. The blast radius reaches the whole machine, sometimes the whole fleet. The reason is simple. Ring 0 is the control room, and if you dereference the wrong pointer down there, nobody's coming to save you. The right long-term answer is to keep more rich functionality like security scanning, anti-cheat, exotic device mediation out of the kernel whenever possible, and to harden the kernel's contracts where it must be involved. In other words, shrink the surface area for catastrophic failure. I've told the CrowdStrike story elsewhere, not to dunk on them, but to show that Windows isn't unique in the risk. It's the nature of kernels. When trusted code and ring zero ingest bad data, you don't just get a polite error, you can get a stop code and a blue screen. The closer we can move functionality to user mode with robust APIs, and the more we can make the kernel hostile to undefined behavior, the less any of us have to roll a cart around an office park on a Friday. If you want a bright spot to keep you optimistic while we grumble, it's this part. The platform is still a marvel of compatibility. We did the 32 to 64-bit transition with a minimum of drama because the underlying architecture respected reality. x64 didn't demand a revolution, it offered another ramp. More registers, cleaner calling conventions, the no execute bit, rep relative addressing, and a way to run 32-bit code on a 64-bit kernel without a science fair in between. And that kind of humility in design is why the PC still runs everything from last year's AAA titles to your dad's old accounting programs. Windows inherited that virtue, and when it leans into it, it shines. All right, let's name and tame the other pain points that keep coming up in the video comments. There's the fragmentation between settings and control panel. And that one's on me partly, I guess, historically. We built a cathedral of configuration over decades and then tried to move it room by room into a new wing without closing the old one. And so you end up with like two faucets for the same sink. The fix isn't finish the move already. The fix is to declare bankruptcy on duplication. Pick a canonical location for each capability and make a ruthless list of redirects. Every time a new release ships, the list gets shorter. Pro mode gets a search that only returns the canonical location so you stop seeing the old ghosts. And for the love of small mercies, print the actual registry key or group policy behind each toggle or make it available on a right click so that operators can script without spelunking. When you treat the power users as adults instead of an annoyance, they stop prying up the floorboards just to find the plumbing. Then there's file associations and default apps. If I set a default, don't change it. If an update must touch it for some legitimate reason, tell me why and ask. Don't throw up a confetti animation and a screen that says, yay, Edge, after I chose something else. A deterministic OS is respectful in small ways, and those small ways add up to whether people feel at home or under supervision. Search deserves its own paragraph, maybe its own episode, but local search should be local by default. When I type the name of a tool I installed yesterday or the word downloads because I want to go to my downloads folder, I want the indexer to know because it's talked to the file system, not because some web service blessed it and happened to say that, hey, and this is a good site for downloads and you should get this and all the other nonsense. In Pro mode, it should be text first, fast, and predictable with an opt-in to federate results to the web if you...
Does this happen when I just can't imagine... what is even happening here? Well, I don't even know what's powering that. Like, this is just, why? I have a browser for this. If I want to go to Google, or if I want to go somewhere and search for shit, what is even happening here? This kind of shit drives me crazy. Like, search the web. Why? You already did it for me. I'm curious, do you think it uses my default browser here if I open it here? Or do you think it uses Bing? Oh my God, it uses, or not Bing, I'm sorry, Edge. Nice, good one. Jesus.
If you want. That keeps your workflow snappy, your privacy intact, and your blood pressure down. And I don't claim to be a UI designer, site for downloads, and you should get this and all the other nonsense. In Pro mode, it should be text first, fast, and predictable with an opt-in to federate results to the web if you want. That keeps your workflow snappy, your privacy intact, and your blood pressure down. And I don't claim to be a UI designer, but for me, the install experience has way too much ornamentation. A clean install should be exactly that. A machine with the OS and the essentials. No candy in the start menu, no third-party trials, no... You might also like...
Yeah, I don't need Windows 365 or like the automatic dog feeder Bluetooth app or what. Like, just give me the bare bones OS. And if I want to install that shit, I can do it. I'm not retarded. Yeah, oh God, fuck, it drives me crazy. The thing that drives me the craziest, and I don't know, I guess they've probably already done the calculations, maybe not. I would pay a lot of money for an OS that does this. Because I understand they would have to justify a fully separate development environment for this, and they would have to maintain it, and not that many. It would probably be a fraction of ordinary users. Less than 5% of users would probably even gravitate towards this. But like I would easily pay $1,000. Because how long are we between OS updates? When did Windows 10 come out? Windows 10 release date. No, I mean Windows 11 release date. 2021, 6 years. And then it's been 5 years since Windows 11. I pay $1,000 for this. Fuck it. Charge me out the ass. I don't care. But then make me a real OS. It's not like a software as a service on every single part of it that's like fully featured, fully functional, not trying to link my fucking accounts everywhere.
Things. If OEMs want to sweeten the deal with bundles, that's fine. Put them in an obvious single place, manufacturer add-ons folder, something like that, so that the first act of a new PC owner isn't learning how to install 4 gigs of things they never asked for in 8 different places.
Yeah.
And if I've sounded like a grouch for the last 15 minutes, let me balance the ledger a little bit. There are ways in which Windows absolutely does not suck, and it's worth saying a few of them out loud. The kernel is mature and high performance, the storage stack is world-class, and the driver ecosystem, warts and all, is an unmatched feat of cooperation. Games run here first and best because DirectX is the lingua franca of GPUs. Corporate fleets run here because Active Directory and group policy are boring in exactly the right ways. Developers are increasingly happy here because WSL and a real terminal mean you can straddle worlds without straddling hardware, and because shipping native archive support and sudo meant that somebody was actually finally reading the room. The punchline then is that Windows doesn't really suck. It's that Windows tries to be a friendly town for everybody, and the zoning board forgot to include a neighborhood for the weirdos who build their own furniture. We don't want to take over your town. We don't even want to change it. We just want a workshop with sharp chisels and permission to make a mess. Give us that, and we'll stop complaining about the art that you choose for City Hall. If all of this sounds like a love letter wrapped in a complaint, well, that's a bit of exactly what it is. Windows holds a special place in my heart because I watched it grow up. I wrote code that still lives deep in his bones. I've seen it carry the world's work for 3 decades in spite of all the jokes and jabs. The things that people hate about it today are mostly the things that got bolted on around the edges in the names of growth, engagement, and a smoother on-ramp. The heart of it, the kernel, the scheduler, the I/O path, the architectural pragmatism that made the x64 transition a non-event for most users, that heart is sound and robust. So, does Windows suck? Only when it forgets who it's working for. Most days it's for everybody, and that's fine. But some days it has to be for the person who knows exactly what they want and is willing to take responsibility for asking. Give that person a switch, give that person respect, and then get out of the way. The promise is that nostalgia isn't going to stop me from calling it like I see it. If Rebin wants to win the next decade of hearts and minds, it won't be with one more sidebar that goes when you hover over it, or a sponsored tile in the start menu. It'll be with a product that is not afraid to say, we trust you. Turn on the clutch pedal, hand us the keys, and let the power users do what they've always done best. Make everybody else want one of those machines. But at the end of the day, remember, somebody has to pay. So Pro Windows with no monetization is going to cost you some kind of annual or monthly fee because they can't just give away Windows forever, hoping to make it up on OneDrive fee.
Okay, wait, not that though. Not that far. Hold on. Annual, monthly, or wait, do you say monthly fee? Just let me buy one. No,
users do what they've always done best. Make everybody else want one of those machines. But at the end of the day, remember, somebody has to pay. So Pro Windows with no monetization is going to cost you some kind of annual or monthly fee because they can't just give away Windows forever, hoping to make it up on OneDrive fees. So pick your poison. And when they ask why it suddenly doesn't suck anymore, tell them the truth. It never really did. It just needed a mode for people who still like to drive and that know how to drive and shift to 4-speed. If you're still with me, remember I'm mostly in this for the subs and likes, so I'd be honored if you consider leaving me one of each before you go today. If you found this video interesting, you might enjoy my other video, Why Windows Removes Features That You Love, and there's a couple other Windows topics. I'll put one up here in the corner if I can figure it out.
I'm just, because how do you justify, I'm curious when he says that, or I want to say maybe he just didn't think this through, but this guy seems thoughtful. Because if you're talking about a monthly subscription, how do you not have like a Windows account or something? You would need some kind of, so are you saying like if my machine is disconnected from the internet, I'm going to lose the ability to authenticate that my OS subscription has been paid for? Like, fuck all that shit.
Raping me. You know, when somebody says not to do something and you keep doing it, it's kind of like you're raping me. This is kind of like rape. You want to keep raping me, or will you respect the boundaries I set? You're raping.
Jesus, okay. I don't like, this is just like a weird feeling I have. I don't like it when stuff is happening that feels like it shouldn't be involved in a thing. Like so right now, right here, I'm navigating the file structure of my PC. That's it. These are just my files. Something is happening if I'm able to open the OneDrive folder and this prompt is popping. What's going on here? Like that, I don't like stuff like this. When I got to change my browser, my default browser, and then a box pops up with Bing saying, or not Bing, Edge being like, we're actually really good now. Don't change your default. Like, what? Why do I feel like I'm putting down like a sick child? Like, why are you even here right now? Who are you? Who are you? I don't even know who I'm talking to. Walt. I don't need this in my OS. Jesus. Okay, sorry. Okay, that's our weekly bitching about Windows. Okay, stop.
Incredible video, Stephen, and one that you see as insurrection?
It is insurrection, plainly, directly, without question. And when you have one of the lawmakers on that video being unable to state in, as you say, lengthy cross-examination, a single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general call for rebellion from the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the commander-in-chief, that those who carry weapons in America defy orders, saying that you, United States, rebellion from the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the commander-in-chief, that those who carry weapons in America's name should defy their chain of command.
Just so you know, This is the reason why the Second Amendment existed, was to protect states from an cumbersome federal government. The utilizing, just saying like all of these are the same, the CIA, the military, law enforcement, like to pretend that all of these things are the same and that the federal government should be in charge of utilizing every weapon they have to enforce law and order amongst its citizenry is absolutely one of the most patently un-American in terms of our Constitution ideas that you could be propagating. That's just an insane thing to say, but no, my God.
And engage in open acts of insurrection that the CIA, the clandestine service, which isn't even legally authorized to operate in the United States, should engage in, again, acts of rebellion and insurrection. These lawmakers should honestly resign in disgrace and never return to public office again for even daring to think, let alone to say these words and to say them proudly. But it shows what a dangerous moment we're in. We have seen the Democratic Party nurse the flames of violence and insurrection against the federal government for the last 10 months.
This is the video they're talking
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak
They really fucked that one woman on the microphone. Oh no.
directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army,
Or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you. We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
I have no idea what the laws are on refusing orders. I don't know. I have no idea. I truly don't know.
Are we about to go to civil war? What's happening?
No clue. But I would support it. Yeah, fucking retire or coup. I would support an insurrection against this government 1 trillion%. Absolutely.
Would you take up arms?
Would I, if I was in the military, I'd already have all the arms.
There you go.
A wild and extraordinary dissent from Judge Jerry Smith, dissenting from the order that invalidated Texas maps yesterday. Not sure I've ever seen one like it. Wait, is this a circuit court? Did they rule on this, or is this a district court thing? United States District Court. I don't know why I asked that. Okay. $104 pages. Oh my God.
Skip. I assume a circuit is bigger than a district, right? Circuit
Correct.
contains
Yep.
a bunch of districts. Yeah.
Yeah. In my 37 years on the federal bench, this is the most outrageous conduct by a judge that I have ever encountered in a case in which I have been involved. In summary, Judge Brown has issued a 160-page opinion without giving me any reasonable opportunity to respond. I will set forth the details. The readers can judge for themselves. Wow. Damn, he's mad he didn't get to write. What's the standard practice if they do these? Are they supposed to confer with each other? Do the judges have to? Or... We will endeavor to get you a draft before we issue our injunction. Sadly, we do not believe we can wait for a dissenting opinion before we rule. The fuse is simply too short in light of Purcell. We will, however, note on the opinion that you are dissenting. We are not trying to cut you out. We just don't have time. Ideally, of course, we'd like to have you seen. Okay. Yes, you heard it right. To summarize, in case the reader doesn't get the point. Why? I feel like even when I was reading the majority opinion on this, are district courts just like less professional or something? Or maybe is it just Texas? I feel like the writing that I read, even on the majority opinion that was authored, it felt a little bit kind of memey. But yes, you heard it right. I feel like I'm reading a Substack. Judge Brown was announcing that he would issue an opinion 3 days later, an opinion that I hadn't even seen and might not be furnished before its issuance. That is unthinkable, but it occurred, and not accidentally. The outrage speaks for itself. The main winners from Judge Brown's opinion are George Soros and Gavin Newsom. The obvious losers are the people of Texas and the rule of law.
Is this a Trump 2 judge?
No, he said he was a federal judge for 37 years.
Oh, Jesus.
What the fuck?
He's trying to get a promotion. This guy's a genius. He's about to go to the Supreme Court.
Judge Brown could have saved himself and the readers a lot of time and effort by merely stating the following. I just don't like what the legislature did here. It was unnecessary, and it seems unfair to disadvantaged voters. I need to step in and make sure wiser heads prevail over the nakedly partisan and racially questionable actions of these zealous lawmakers. Just as I did to the lawmakers in Galveston County in Pedway, I'm using my considerable clout as a federal district judge to put a stop to bad policy judgments. After all, I get paid to do what I think is right. Jesus. This doesn't have any legal power, right? No, it's just a dissent, but... There's the old joke. What's the difference between God and a federal district judge? Answer. God doesn't think he's a federal judge. Good one.
This guy fucking hates this dude.
Oh, man. Or a different version of that joke. An angel rushes to the head of the heavenly host and says, we have a problem. God has delusions of grandeur. The head angel calmly replies, what makes you say that? The first angel whispers, he's wearing his robe and keeps imagining he's a federal judge. Only this time, it isn't funny. I dissent.
This guy's a fucking chatter.
Before, do the district judges normally go this hard at each other? So when somebody says, when they're saying like imagining himself to be a legislator, when they're talking about disagreeing with the legislature, this is a dig at, just make sure that this is a dig at like what you are as a judge. A judge isn't here to decide legislation or what should or shouldn't be legislation. The judges are just here to rule on matters of law. Is the legislation that you passed, does it comport with your own laws or with the state constitutions or whatever? Or not, I'm sorry, not the state constitutions, the federal constitution or federal laws, because this is a federal district court. Judge Brown is no stranger to a spirited attack on a legislative body's exercise of its duly elected power to redistrict. Before being roundly reversed by the Fifth Circuit, sitting en banc, Judge Brown, imagining himself to be a legislator, wrote the following. Some opinion from 2023. The ultimate question is whether unrestrained ideological judicial zeal should prevail over legislative choice. This isn't my first rodeo. 14 years ago, dissenting from a flawed 3-judge redistricting order in this very court, I wrote the following. Does he actually... So in my understanding, the biggest issue is that the government seemed, if I'm to assume that the judge that wrote the majority opinion is correct, the government just didn't provide any evidence for why they were suggesting new maps. They claimed, apparently, that they were doing them because the 2021 maps were racially motivated, but they didn't submit any evidence for that, in which case, then it seems like you're likely to lose your case. So does he speak of any evidence that they put in? Is he going to give that evidence in his dissent, or... Speaking of fortune, just a few weeks ago, the Fifth Circuit answered the main question at hand, holding that the most obvious reason for a mid-cycle redistricting, of course, is partisan gain. The question for this 3-judge district panel is whether the Texas legislature did its mid-decade congressional redistricting to gain political advantage, or instead, because the main goal of Texas propelling a legislature is to slash the voting rights of persons of color. Once again, here we go again, criticism of the behavior of DOJ lawyers in last decade's redistricting battle. I noted the following. While the U.S. is no longer participating in this instant case, the same attitudes about Texas propelling a legislature. It's all politics on both sides of the partisan aisle. George and Alex Soros have their hands all over this. This guy needs to go, bro. Is this guy schizophrenic? One of the plaintiff's top experts is Matt Barreto. He is a paid Soros operative and does not attempt to hide it. His CV confirms it. He expects to receive $2.5 million from George and Alexander Soros. 6 and 7.
Hold on, this guy's on to something.
Matt Barreto. Is a professor of political science and Chicano and Central American Studies. Okay, and he's co-founder of the research and polling firm BSP Research. Perks receiving Barreto's Open Society Foundation grant over a 36-month term. Barreto CV 8. Is there a way to see these exhibits? 269.
Quick question / us. It's related. What? How do you become not a district judge or what the fuck were we talking about earlier? Hold on, I'm not buying it now.
You're fine. This is a district court judge. The next level up is a circuit court judge.
Oh yeah. How do you become a circuit court judge? Who promotes you when you get appointed to a district?
I don't know if you normally get promoted, but you're appointed by, I believe, the executive branch. I don't know if it's the president himself or people in the DOJ or whatever, but you get appointed. And then I think the Senate has to confirm. I'm pretty sure on those.
Got it. So someone could get appointed for a district and then they're kind of stuck there until someone like takes them and appoints them up?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Or, I mean, or you could quit your job, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this guy's there was 37 years. Must not have been doing a good job.
Well, no, I think to be a federal judge is pretty prestigious. I think you don't have to be like a circuit court judge. I think you can you're a federal judge your whole life. That's a pretty prestigious role to hold, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so it sounds like he got a grant from the Open Society Foundation, which, I'm guessing this is like... founded by George Soros. Does he run the whole thing, or is this just like a giant... Their revenue is $436 million. They have a $5.3 billion endowment. So every single society or organization that takes money from this, you say is funded by Soros, I guess? Okay, based. Nice, okay. Nor is this something new. Soros has been pumping money into Barreto's UCLA voting rights project for years, and this steady supply of money won't stop until 2026 at the earliest. Unsurprisingly, Barreto has been on quite a roadshow for years, parading across the country opposing Republican redistricting. This is the tip of the iceberg. The lawyers are involved as well. Excuse me, sir. Are you a journalist or a lawyer? Where are the legal arguments? Hello? What am I reading?
He's a judge.
Or a judge, yeah. To his credit, the lead counsel for plaintiffs does not try to hide it either. On a silver platter, Judge Brown hands Soros a victory at the expense of the people of Texas and the rule of law. Judge Brown won't tell you that. I just did. Relatedly, Gavin Newsom took a victory lap in Houston to celebrate the Democrat redistricting win with Proposition 50. Indeed, he did so on rival Governor Greg Abbott's home turf Saturday and called on other blue states to push back on a GOP effort to retain control of the U.S. House. And after the improperly premature issuance of Judge Brown's opinion, the Houston Chronicle pointed out that Governor Newsom quickly tweeted, "Donald Trump and Greg Abbott played with fire, got burned, and democracy won. This ruling is a win for Texas and for every American who fights for free and fair elections." That tells you all you need to know. This is about partisan politics, plain and simple. I dissent. Okay. Jesus.
This guy thought he was cooking. He's like, oh, I'm cooking here.
I suppose someone will say that in making these comments about the Soros connections, I'm expressing a political view, not the proper role of a federal judge. Oh, he's talking to me. To the contrary, as I say above, the political branches engage in policy and politics. It's our job as judges to let that happen, but it's also our duty to recognize the societal and political effects of what we do, regardless of whether we approve of those downstream results. Today's ruling has dramatic political consequences by meddling in the orderly process of a duly elected state government. It's not political for me to point out that by describing the political dynamics are inherent in the litigation of redistricting cases. Jesus Christ. Judge Brown has a lingering habit. He correctly recites part of a legal principle, then veers off track along a spectrum, intentionally misleading at best, to false at worst. The opinion is replete with selectively copying and pasting parts of legal rules or standards. Beyond that, things get dicey. This holds especially for Judge Brown's discussion of the standard for a preliminary injunction. Okay, it's 4 parts, right? It's you have to show likelihood of success on the merits. The party moving for a preliminary injunction needs to show irreparable harm if it's not granted. I think you have to show it's not unduly burdensome for the defendant. And then I think it has to be in the public interest. Let me check. Standards, preliminary injunction, Westlaw. These might vary slightly from place to place also. What the fuck is this shit? Get full access? Excuse me. Good one. Whatever. I think I'm right. Judge Brown admits that the first factor, likelihood of success on the merits, is the most important, and that granting a preliminary injunction is an extraordinary and drastic remedy, which should not be granted unless the movement clearly carries the burden of persuasion. Is there a most important factor? I mean, I guess, but like all 4 of them, I believe, are considered elements. All of them are necessary. Not a single one is sufficient. So if you can show 3 or 4, you still fail on the preliminary injunction. But this is a nitpick, I guess. That granting a preliminary injunction is an extraordinary drastic remedy, which should not be granted unless the movement clearly carries the burden of persuasion. Then the opinion entirely goes off the rails. Judge Brown quibbles with the omission of the word substantial next to the phrase likelihood of success on the merits in the Fifth Circuit mid-decade redistricting opinion from just a few weeks ago, claiming that the omission suggests that the plaintiff need only show a likelihood of success on the merits. This is intentionally misleading at best and disingenuously false at worst. How does he get there? Judge Brown justifies his wish list formulation of the first factor by noting the factual similarities between Jackson and the instant case. Both involve Texas mid-decade redistricting. Surely he knows that the phrase extraordinary and drastic remedy never appears in Jackson. Judge Brown, relying on the factual and procedural analogies between the 2 cases, would lead the leader to think that gives him carte blanche authority to exercise the extraordinary and drastic remedy from his opinion as well. Nevertheless, he keeps the phrase extraordinary and drastic remedy in the standard because he knows he cannot remove the phrase at will. Judge Brown, no stranger to inconsistency, is wrong. He should give less consideration to the omission and more consideration to the actual words on the page. Judge Brown accurately cuts and pastes the following. A preliminary injunction is an extraordinary and drastic remedy which should not be granted unless the movement clearly carries the burden of persuasion, and the likelihood of success on the merits is the most important factor of the framework. But the cut and paste job is selective. Judge Brown left out the fact that giving attention to the relevant cases cited in Jackson, the most important factor language in Jackson is a direct quote from Mock v. Garland, and any cursory reading of Mock, easily reveals that the word substantial, the word Judge Brown tries to avoid, is part of the first factor in no uncertain terms, a substantial likelihood of success on the merits. Judge Brown doesn't tell you that. I just did. Wait, what? I'm sorry, hold on. What was the, does anybody have the ruling? From yesterday. It's not going to be any of these.
Where are the linkers?
Oh, it is one of these. I'm so good.
Thank you, Matter Tater, for the tier 1 to Destiny.
I'm just curious. Hold on. How he presents the elements needed here. Not that anybody even reads these, so. Because usually near the end, right? Oh, here they are. The 4 factors. Right? Am I crazy? I saw 2 of them. Besides showing that they're likely to succeed on the merits, plenty of reasons will establish they're likely to suffer irreparable harm. So this is the irreparable harm element. Balance of equities and public interest. Is that... What the fuck is the lettering here? Am I crazy? This is C. And then we come up to 8. Oh, it's like 1 through 8, all of like subsection B, maybe? Bum, 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 bum. Wait. The state defendant's critiques. What's up with the, like, the lettering, the labeling? Am I crazy? Jesus. Jesus. The pagination. I'm just curious where he goes over the... Usually it'll be near the end of these rulings is they'll go over the 4 factors of the preliminary injunction. And I see them going over the last 2. So I'm curious where they go over the likelihood on the success of the merits. Control F merits. Okay, discussion. The legal standard for obtaining a preliminary injunction. Some Fifth Circuit opinions state that a plaintiff seeking a preliminary injunction must show a substantial likelihood that he will prevail on the merits, whereas others state that the plaintiff need only show a likelihood of success on the merits. See Jackson. Oh, okay, so this is where he... We will go with the language of the Fifth Circuit's most recent redistricting opinion, since it's the preliminary injunction opinion that's most factually and procedurally analogous to the instant case. Either way, given the Fifth Circuit's sliding scale approach to the likelihood of success inquiry, see this, and accompanying text, we perceive no substantive difference between the 2 formulations of the standard. Okay. So the judge is arguing that whether it says a substantial likelihood of success or a likelihood of success, he's saying it wouldn't really make much of a difference anyway, I guess. Okay. And how they weigh it. I don't know if that's like a substantial likelihood versus like, I don't know if this is like, I don't think these are legal words or anything either, but he's real mad about the omitting of that word. proclaiming the mission suggests the plaintiff need only show a likelihood of success on the merits. This is intentionally misleading at best. How does he get that? Okay, this is cringe. Okay, he's mad. The opinion is caught in an illogical straitjacket from which it cannot escape. Knowing that his argument is weak, Judge Brown declares that the omission of the word substantial does not matter anyway. Oh, he deals with it because the Fifth Circuit sliding scale approach to the first factor, which is likelihood of success, with a magic wand, the quibble of the word with the omission of substantial is no longer consequential and vanishes into the ether. This is part of the activist, result-oriented bag of tricks that tinkers with the allegedly most important first factor, such that the quibbles that he proclaimed matter no longer do. Judge Brown says, where the other factors are strong, the movement need only show some likelihood of success on the merits to obtain a preliminary injunction. This is intentionally misleading at best, disingenuously false at worst. I feel like he's done this thing like 3 times. Is this AI writing? I feel like he's done this thing. This is blank at best, and this is
Put him into an AI checker.
True. Check it. There he goes again. Judge Brown overlooks what immediately follows the passage on which he relies. Where other factors are strong, a showing of some likelihood of success on the merits will justify temporary injunctive relief, but when a plaintiff applies for a mandatory preliminary injunction, such reliefs should not be granted except in rare instances in which the facts and law are clearly in favor of the moving party. What's the difference between temporary injunctive relief and mandatory preliminary injunction? Aren't preliminary injunctions definitionally temporary? Judge Brown is wrong on multiple levels. First, he claimed that the first factor alone suffices, indicating that the other factors do not matter. Did he? Second, the other factors discussed below are extraordinarily weak in this case. Third, Title Max differentiates between temporary injunctive relief and the narrower category of a mandatory preliminary injunction. What's a mandatory injunction? Aren't all injunctions mandatory? Are there such things as an optional injunction? What does that mean? He might be referring to the difference between a TRO and a PI. TROs are usually limited temporarily, while a PI can be for the length of a trial. Oh. So this might just be a TRO. This might be for a preliminary injunction? Maybe. I would have to read this underlying case. I don't care that much to do it. Let's see. A mandatory injunction is issued when a court directs a person to perform certain acts, as opposed to a prohibitory injunction, which seeks to preserve the status quo. Oh, okay. So a mandatory injunction is actually forcing you to do a thing, and a prohibitory injunction is just enjoinment to preserve the status quo, I think. The injunction in your case wasn't mandatory. No, in my case, they would have been seeking a mandatory one. I don't know if that would apply in like a civil case, but because they were trying to compel me to do certain actions, to reach out to Kiwi Farms, for instance, and take down things. They were trying to compel me to behave in a certain way.
The opposing counsel?
Pixie, yeah. Oh. It was on him. He was retarded, but she's retarded. So, Aquatic says discretion is not whether she might not even the facts down. Okay. But this would be a preserving the status quo type of injunction, no? They want to preserve the 2021 maps? Or would it be considered a mandatory injunction because they want them to roll back their 2025 ruling? I'm not sure if this would be considered a prohibitory or mandatory injunction. I don't know. Third, Title Max temporary injunction, a narrow category, mandatory preliminary injunction. Judge Brown must surely know that, which is likely why he cherry-picked the language he liked, omitted the language he didn't, and inserted what he wanted, a preliminary injunction.
Did he write that? Oh, he did. What the fuck?
If this is not judicial activism, I'm not sure what would be. Fourth, Judge Brown is issuing a mandatory preliminary injunction because he's enjoining. Oh, I wonder what the argument is. So he's enjoining the implementation of the 2025 Texas congressional map and requiring Texas to use the 2021 map. Enjoining sounds definitionally like the prohibitory. Is there like a legal way I can look this up? An enjoinment to me, enjoining somebody from a behavior sounds prohibitory as opposed to forcing them to do something different. This is a preservation of the status quo. That's what it sounds like to me. If this were a law school exam, the opinion would deserve an F. Nice. Remember that recent Fifth Circuit redistricting case, the one that Judge Brown said was procedurally and factually analogous to the instant one? No question mark. Argument defeated. Boom. Can't an injunction be both mandatory and prohibitory? I don't know, maybe? Like if I'm paying somebody and I get sued or something and they get an injunction and I have to keep paying them, would that be considered mandatory or prohibitory? It could be mandatory because you're telling me I have to do an action by paying them continually, but it could be prohibitory because you're trying to preserve the status quo and you're preventing the implementation of a change in pay schedule. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's like a strict delineation between these things legally as well. I don't know. I just don't know. Judge Brown is an unskilled magician. The audience knows what is coming next. What?
I was going to thank your subs. You had 2 of them.
Thank you. Previous Deep 45 and Evil Elrond. The last time I checked, a preliminary injunction is an extraordinary and drastic remedy. This is serious business that we are about. Jesus. Judge Brown boasts that plaintiff groups have successfully shown a likelihood of success on their racial gerrymandering challenges, and that alone suffices to preliminarily enjoin the 2025 map. But it wouldn't, right? This would be incorrect if he says this. At page 54. Fuck, hold on. The legal standard for obtaining a preliminary injunction. To obtain a preliminary injunction, the plaintiff group must show, so he has, these are the 4 elements. Okay. The plaintiff groups have demonstrated a likelihood of success on the merits of most of their racial gerrymandering claims. For the reasons explained below, the plaintiff groups have successfully shown a likelihood of success on their racial gerrymandering challenges to CDs 9, 18, 27, 30, 32, and 35, because that alone suffices to preliminarily enjoin the 2025 map. And given the short time frame the court had to write this complex and record-intensive opinion, the court will not address the plaintiff group's intentional vote dilution claims at this time. Okay, so Kafka, wait, do you understand what he just said here? I don't like reading this stuff. I'm done. I want to play video games. Wait, do you understand what happened here?
Didn't he just say, like, well, the court doesn't have time to go through it, so they don't even have to do it? Or something like that?
Kind of, no. Judge Brown here is being misquoted by this guy, the Jerry dude. So imagine that, okay, let's say that we want to go out to eat, okay? You and me want to go out to eat. Let's say that there are 2 different things that I have to show for us to go out to eat, okay? The first thing is I have to show that you and I are hungry. And then the second thing is that I have to show that we have enough money to go, okay? Those are the 2 things that I'm required to show, all right? Let's say that for the first element, okay, so I'm going to prove that we're hungry, and I'm going to do this in 2 ways. I'm going to do, the first showing is I'm going to say we both said that we're hungry, and then in the second showing, I'm going to demonstrate that it's been 16 hours since our last meal, okay? And then for the second thing, I'm going to show the money in our bank accounts, right? You following me so far?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's say that I go to make the argument, and I say, and now a judge is reviewing our decision to go out to eat, and the judge says, okay, so we're looking at the first element that needs to be met is you have to be able to say that you guys are hungry. So we looked at this, and on the subsection for the first element, you've said that both of you have stated that you're hungry. because you've stated that, we don't have to go into the second part. We don't need to make that decision at this time. We're going to move now to the second element. He's pretending that by making that statement, that Judge Brown is dismissing the other three elements of seeking the preliminary injunction just because this guy said we have enough to satisfy the first element, and so the court will not address the rest. So he's just, unless this guy goes on to say, that's how I read this. Do you understand what I'm saying, Kafka?
Yeah, he's, for some reason, you're correctly, he's misquoting him, though he's also kind of, I think he's overstating his argument where, like, those four different factors, any one of those four factors could overpower the other three and make it where a preliminary injunction is okay. It's possible that the other three factors cut against giving a preliminary injunction, but this factor is so strong that they still should grant it.
When you say against,
a good way to
wait, they have to be in favor, though. No, like all four factors need to be met.
No.
They
need to be like, you can say like this is something that is slightly against public opinion, or like an example to be given is like because like cutting against, I guess, that might be too strong, but in the sense of like it wouldn't reach the burden on its own is a way to say it, right? Like,
sure.
And if this one factor wasn't so strong, these other three would not carry it. So like the classic example is like, you've got a woman who shows up and she's like, I'm a victim of domestic violence. If I go home, I'm going to be killed. I need a protective order to keep my husband away from me, right? It's like, okay, well, the potential harm, irreparable harm here is so high, even if maybe she can't win this case, like I'm looking at it right now, it does not look like, I can't make a determination that she would be successful in the merits, right? Or the likelihood of success like here is not high. However, I believe in this moment that if she goes home, she will die. So yeah, we should file this to get this protective order put into place.
Well, I feel like when you're doing that, when you're weighing that evidence in the beginning, so if we're talking about a TRO, this is ex parte or whatever, right? You're just assuming that everything they give is true. So then you can say, I think you still make that determination. So like, let's say a woman comes in and she says, I need a protective order. My husband is going to kill me. And it's like, okay, well, why do you think this? And she's like, I deleted his save file for Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, has he ever hurt you before? It's like, no, but I think he's going to be really mad at this. Well, in that case, it doesn't seem you have a likelihood of success on the merits. It seems like you're being retarded. But if she comes in and she's like, my husband is like threatened to kill me and he's beat me before, like, please, give me this, whether or not she's being honest or not, if he's just reading the facts as given, then you'd say, okay, well, your likelihood, assuming these are true, these allegations are true, at the very least, I can issue a TRO. Like, I think they're still succeeding on all four merits, right? It's not overly burdensome on the husband for a protective order to be issued. It's obviously in the balance of public interest and the, whatever the second factor is, I'm sure that's met as well.
You don't need to hear the husband's side at all before you give a
for a TRO, we can make it a PI and discuss it in that,
sure.
Because it's a little more analogous. But like real quick though, like let's say it is a PI even of that, where like, Your Honor, if we need to have a PI hearing because if I go home, I'm going to get killed, right? And she shows up and she goes, yeah, he's going to kill me because I deleted his save file, and that's why. And I'm basing all of my domestic violence stuff based off of pure hearsay. There's no concrete evidence. I can't actually bring anything into trial. But here right now are text messages from him showing that he says he's going to kill me. Here's evidence of him buying a gun that he's never had before after that. Right. And this, it's like, okay, well, even there you're like, okay, I could see this as being like a credible threat, but not succeeding on the domestic violence thing. I'm just saying, like, the likelihood of success there is so low that it can't carry it. There's not even really like a lot of weight there to give to the PI. But the threat is so great that you would say, yeah, maybe there's not a high likelihood of success, but the threat is so great that I'm still going to grant it. And in here,
I guess the confusing part for
could
me,
be a similar thing.
I guess the confusing part for me, actually, because I guess now that I'm considering this, is the likelihood of success. Is it to win on a criminal conviction, or is it to win? Because for civil stuff, it's for the civil stuff. So I guess I don't know how that would work, I guess.
Wait, no, just the likelihood of, like there's a likelihood of success of whatever claim is being brought, right? And a criminal, actually, there might be a little bit different in how they're doing it, because I did use a protective order. It's just like, that's kind of the classic to show like the balance differences, right?
Sure.
But for here, we can go back to here where it's like, okay, their likelihood of success here is super high, right? And let's say the potential damage is irreparable, but the amount of damage there is not like severe, right? You might say, well, it is irreparable and they're really likely to win. So yeah, let's just go ahead and put this in place. And so,
so wait, just real quick on what you're about to go into, like that sure, I can agree with that or whatever, that something is so high. But my big issue here is that when Judge Brown is saying in his ruling, when he says, because that alone suffices to preliminarily enjoin the 2025 map, he's saying that plaintiff groups have successfully shown a likelihood of success on their racial gerrymandering challenges, and because of that, that's enough to preliminarily enjoin the 2025 map. And given the short time frame, he says that that's enough. The court will not address the plaintiff group's intentional vote dilution claims at this time. What he's saying is that they've shown enough to satisfy the first element, and then he's going to move to the next three elements for analysis, I think. But the Jerry here is trying to say that when he says that, he's actually saying the next three elements don't even matter, which I think is not what he's being said.
Yeah, you're right about that, and there's another layer too where the judge is saying it is sufficient for the claim that there is an intent to racially gerrymander, right? Sure. This section right here is specific, that you've got highlighted, is specifically about, hey, there are three claims. One is about intent to racially gerrymander the state, and there's these two other ones that have to do with vote dilution, and one of them doesn't require intent. And the judge here is saying, I've got enough in that first one to start looking at preliminary injunctions, so I don't need to even address these other two claims that they brought.
Because when lawyers are submitting things, you're going to make like multiple arguments to satisfy your thing, right?
Exactly.
Well, even if this fails, then we should look at this. And if you're limited on time, then if the judge has enough to satisfy, then they won't go through the rest, right? Yeah.
Right, and the judge is saying here, like, it also makes sense too, because vote dilution generally is an effect-based claim. And so you look more to the effects when you're doing vote dilution, I believe. And so, like, since this is before there's any votes even happening, it would then be harder to show the effect. Though I believe they actually provided enough evidence for all this stuff. I'm just saying, like, if you can show intent, it's the easiest, most direct way to do it. That's why you would focus on it primarily the way the judge did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just seems like he's misquoting him here, or he's misunderstanding.
Yeah, no.
If we were to take him at his word that the first factor is dispositive, it is not, to granting a preliminary injunction, it is not apparent why Judge Brown feels the need to discuss the other factors. Is this guy retarded?
Yeah, he's saying on the one hand, like, oh, he only cares about the first factor, that's why he doesn't talk about the other three, and then he goes, well, he still does, which I don't understand why he does.
Yeah, but it's...
Right, and then he goes, wait a minute, but he does talk about it. I don't know why he does, because I just said that he didn't, but it's not my fault. It's the other judge being ridiculous. And it's like, or you're being bad faith. Yeah.
Okay. King.
Okay.
Dude, are district judges normally so crazy? Is it just circuit court and Supreme Court that write better, or is this like pretty standard for?
You get some pretty wild stuff in the depending on who you're in front of. If you're at the district court, that's the lower stuff. So like you can see some crazy stuff there. This is particularly unhinged, especially like this much. I'll say this: I've rarely seen judges in the federal courts be this like nakedly partisan and willing to attack fellow judges.
Attacking fellow judges like really, crazy is yeah.
It's really weird that he's attacking the fellow judges. It's like I would, in a normal scenario, if we were not in this current reality, a judge doing this would almost certainly face some kind of censure.
Can you put in like a bar complaint for this or no?
Judge,
you would go through the judge. Yeah. You would go through the judges, like the Fifth Circuit itself would issue a censure.
Whether Judge Brown likes it, gravity exists. Second, Judge Brown's late-breaking 11th hour injunction is precisely the kind of judicial tinkering and judicial altering that the court has repeatedly warned us about. I guess Judge Brown needs another reminder. Damn.
Reagan appointee.
It doesn't matter. He's a Reagan appointee. He's a MAGA lunatic. The quoting of the
just say he's like
shit?
Fucking old as shit.
Well, yeah, you said he was a federal judge for 32 years or something, right?
Yeah.
And it is kind of weird considering, isn't Judge Brown the Trump appointee who wrote the opinion, and then this guy is the Reagan appointee? So it's like
supposedly, yeah,
extra strange. Yeah. Okay. Did you didn't read through the full other opinion, did you?
No, not all of it. I skimmed a lot of it. Why? What about it?
The section on the expert witnesses is actually really interesting. If you want to have like a pretty in-depth discussion ever about gerrymandering in a debate or something with somebody, if you read through that stuff, it does a really good job of showing like the actual data and like how the guy that made it, even though he's claiming all these reasons why it was not racially determined, it shows why that is not credible. And then they go into the plaintiff's expert witness, and they have some really awesome data, or whatever the tech word is for their charts, to show how it is very obviously racially gerrymandered. So
just curious,
it would be a really, really good thing to know.
Could the Texas state legislature have redrawn these districts using the same process and procedure they did if they wouldn't have claimed the violation of the Voting Rights Act, or would they have had to have done some different process, some state?
What do you mean exactly here?
Because my understanding is that the reason why the district court is hearing this case is because this redistricting has been done in a way that it only could have been done because they're challenging the 2021 maps due to the fact that they were racially motivated, and apparently now they're saying that that's not okay because of what the DOJ said. But my question is if they were to have just like voted for new maps or whatever, they could have just done that, right? But is there a different process or procedure they'd have to do?
I believe you're correct that there is, like, I'm not entirely sure of the Texas procedure for drawing new maps outside of a census, but I believe there is a procedure beyond just going in like they did, because there needs to be they need to have a purpose in doing so, and I don't believe they can like initiate and draw new maps just because they want a partisan reason. They did need to have some kind of legal challenge that would allow them to do this. So like Texas, I know for a fact they could have done a referendum similar to California, almost certainly, because Texas, they do any kind of stuff like this. They would do a Texas constitutional amendment, and then that amendment would grant the legislature the ability to change the map.
So you say what I'm asking is what blocks them from just changing the legislature, just changing it now, assuming it wasn't done illegally before? Could they just change it, or is it like in their constitution that it's every 10 years?
I really, this is not an area of my expertise, but I thought there is some kind of provision, something that makes it where the Texas redistricting, there's a committee that allows them to do it, and then I believe there's some other rules that are in place, because otherwise they would have just done it. I'm not sure why.
Section 28, Article 3 of the Texas Constitution requires the legislature to redistrict state house districts during the first regular session following publication of the decennial census. Okay, so this is why they have to. Somebody asked in chat, wait, so the redistricting was never voted on like it was in California? They're just trying to do it based on some claim of racial shit? Correct. They didn't do a vote on this at all. It was just the state legislature doing it at the behest of Abbott and Trump.
In Texas.
Yeah.
Texas courts have allowed a House plan to violate the county line. Okay, never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
So but then at the time I was watching the Texas committee on the redistricting stuff, and I believe that there were some pretty good speeches from the Democrat side on how this actually is still violating it in any ways. Like there's a lot of like signaling ahead of time that they should not be doing this at all. Even Ken Paxton came out and said that they shouldn't do it, I believe, or something to that effect, where Ken Paxton was like, this is bullshit, but I guess we're doing it. And so this is well outside a lot of their normal procedures, and it was very obvious. So it's weird to see this level of dissent on something that's so plainly illegal. I think that people saying that this guy is trying out for Supreme Court are correct. This guy's just trying to curry favor with Trump.
Okay. Did you read through the witness and everything? So when they did the maps in 2021, do you feel pretty confident saying it definitely wasn't based on race? Like if you had to venture like a guess percentage that like, oh no, this was not racially motivated or whatever.
Oh no, I would like I'd say like 90% surety that there was no racial motivation to it. I mean, like I would put it at 99.
So like 6, maybe 7% that there was racial motivation.
Like I could see there potentially being some, though I don't think that there's any. I'll say this: I'm 99% sure there's no evidence of it, either the intent or any effect that would implicate like these laws. But like the question, their theory that they brought up about the racial drawing of the maps, like the theory that they have, is like, yeah, 99% sure that didn't happen. That was not a like violation of the voters' voting rights.
And it
Act.
sounds like they didn't submit any evidence of this. We'll see if Jerry fucking gets to any once he's done ranting about Soros. But okay, gotcha. I see. Okay.
Because they would have. So like, if their legal theory worked, they're basically saying like, oh, like we wouldn't need to submit evidence because it's obvious that it is a violation because these districts were formed with that. I believe I mentioned last time the coalition districts, the idea that you could have these like racially diverse districts that don't have a majority. And there was a court that came out and said like, oh, the Fifth Circuit said, oh, those don't actually function the way that we said before, which has to do with this other type of gerrymandering issue. But the court did not say, because it doesn't work in the way that we said previously, that makes them unconstitutional. That never happened. But the government right now is assuming that these coalition districts have become unconstitutional by merit of that Fifth Circuit decision. And now the Fifth Circuit is saying, we never said that. There's no evidence that we said that or even intended that to be what the decision is about. And so that's why they felt like they didn't need to submit evidence.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. You have anything else? I was going to hop off.
No, it's kind of ironic that technically the process by which the state legislature is doing here is actually circumventing the will of the Texas voters, right? I don't know if they have a procedure to do a proposition to redistrict, but they're just, what they're really doing is they're saying that they were racial in 2021. They're relying on some bullshit argument from the DOJ to say that that's now not okay because of some Fifth Circuit decision. And so therefore those maps are invalidated. So now we're just going to suggest a new one like we have the right to do. But none of this was actually voted on by the people of Texas or anything else. They're just trying to invalidate the 2021 maps and suggest their own new maps is what's happening, right?
Right. And the procedure that they could do is, and there was recently a special election in Texas in November. They could have put an amendment to the Texas Constitution in that election to allow the people of Texas
to
decide whether or not they wanted
redistricting. Yeah, but they didn't do that. Because they're pussies.
Right. So it's interesting. Yeah. So it's like, oh well, we know we can get away with it and not have to actually put this to a vote. But what's funny is like even if they did that, it's not clear how that would help them get around the issue they're seeing right now, right? Like even if it was 100% vote that the Texans people wanted to redistrict based on race, it still violates the Voter Rights Act, and they're not allowed to do that. So it's not like that wouldn't even save them. But it would at least like
the reason why they have to bring up the racial thing now is to discredit 2021. They don't have to say right now that they want to redistrict. They could just say we just got to redistrict, and then the people could vote on it, and they know that they're going to get a partisan redistrict, but that would be okay. They would comply with the law and everything. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That you're right about that. Yeah. True. That makes sense. But I mean. I would be surprised if the Fifth Circuit appeals courts overturned this. I think that we would have to see the Supreme Court overturn this for this to actually overturn. Even as conservative as the Fifth Circuit is, I don't know. It would be surprising to me if they overturned this.
What is the basis by which, why is this a federal court issue and not a state court issue?
The Voting Rights Act is a federal law, isn't it?
Yeah, but it would only impact Texas through incorporation, right? Like why? Like this feels like a state court issue where Texas is basically trying to say our 2021 maps are invalid, so now we're going to do new ones. And then why would the federal government have the jurisdiction to hear this challenge? This would be between voters. I imagine all the plaintiffs are based in Texas, right? So why would the voters have the right to choose a federal court? Why would a federal court have jurisdiction over these issues?
Because the Voting Rights Act is a federal law, so they have federal question. You have federal question jurisdiction. So it's saying, hey, they're violating a federal law, so we want to go to federal court.
But aren't they trying? Isn't the argument from the plaintiffs that the federal law is not involved here at all? That there was no racial gerrymandering in 2021, so it's not even involved.
Well, that's a determination for the federal court. The question of whether or not that federal law is important is a question for the federal court, right? Because there's no, as far as I understand, there aren't any state law claims here, right? There aren't any Texas state law claims saying, hey, you guys are violating a Texas.
Well, no, there was. This is a state law claim, isn't it? You're saying that the state claim, I imagine, would be, hey, you guys are gerrymandering in the middle of the census time. You're not allowed to do that. So I'm suing you in the Texas court because you're not complying with the Texas laws. You're violating your own articles.
Oh, no. They're saying you guys are using a federal law to justify your actions.
Correct.
We don't think that federal law your use of that federal law is legitimate. So then a federal court needs to come in and say, is this federal law being enacted correctly? Is it being implemented? Are these people acting within the scope of a federal law? And if the answer is no, then whatever they're doing, like just by operation of law, does not take effect, right? Like it's not like, because their justification for that their actions would, as you say, disappear as a function of the Texas Constitution. Now, if they continued with it and said, well, we're going to do it anyways, despite the federal courts doing that, I guess there's also a Texas constitutional claim that you could come in and say, well, this is like in violation of the Texas Constitution. You don't have the right to do this. Those maps haven't been made defunct or whatever the term might be, so that we need new ones. So yeah, I think I mean the federal question here is very relevant. Now, to be fair to you, I mean, like they could have brought it to a state court. You can bring a lot of federal claims in state courts.
Sure, but I understand now, even if you did this as a state claim and it got all the way to the Texas Supreme Court, it is ultimately a federal question, right? Because then appeal if you appeal from a state Supreme Court, does it start then at a circuit or district court, or does it go right to the Supreme Court?
Okay, there are specific rules around this. So like, it can depend on the type of appeal you're doing. So if, like, for a lot of criminal cases, you might not go straight to the Supreme Court. You would go to federal circuits because of the appeals process there, because you have a federal appeals process in that.
Sure.
For like civil stuff like this, like Bush v. Gore, that went from the federal or from the Florida Supreme Court straight to the federal Supreme Court.
Sure, gotcha.
Right? Because federal Supreme Court has the ability to overturn that decision.
Sure. So in deciding whether or not the Article 2 or Section 2 or whatever, the Voting Rights Act applies to this claim, that is a federal question, not just a question of incorporation. It's a question of like, how do we interpret this federal statute? So the jurisdiction would be appropriate for a federal court, I guess, right? So okay, this makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. Also, like, there's just a lot of very good reasons to bring stuff like this in federal court. And you really wouldn't, if you think about it, you really wouldn't want a state court to decide, in my opinion, the rules around this kind of redistricting question. I think that whenever you look at something like this where they're relying on a federal law to overturn previous maps, I think in my mind I would prefer a federal court, because hold on.
This seems like hold on. Actually, wait, I'm going back and forth on this. This seems like it's not a question of law, though. This seems like it's just a question of fact. Am I wrong in that? Like, the question is if they did use racial determination to do districting in 2021, then it seems like that's just a fact-based question, and that's not okay, is what we're assuming right now. That's not okay. That would just mean that it would get struck down, right? But
it is, whether it's a question of law or a question of it could be both. It can be both a question of fact and a question of law. What's happening here is that the plaintiffs are saying this is not a question of fact. There is no question of fact about this, because if we assume everything they say is true, they still would not succeed, because the way they're interpreting the law is not correct. And under the correct interpretation of the law, they cannot be correct.
Wait, but aren't they saying, does the law allow you to do racial redistricting?
No, it does not.
Aren't they claiming they did racial redistricting?
They're claiming they did it because but using an interpretation of a Fifth Circuit ruling. They're saying the fact question could only be actually like determined or answered as a fact question if their interpretation of that Fifth Circuit opinion was correct. So they're coming in because right now,
it has to do with something of like an effect or whatever. They're saying they're saying that our factual findings don't have to be that you said we're going to racially make things up, but it could rely on the fact of like these coalition things or whatever. That could be factually sufficient. And they're saying, well, we don't disagree on the facts here. We disagree on the legal interpretation of whether these coalition styles of doing districts legally satisfies or not. That's what the legal question is, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so if that federal legal question then gets answered of the plaintiffs are correct, we never need to look at a factual question around whether or not they were racially gerrymandered or not.
Okay. Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
What is your expectation? Do you think do you think the Supreme Court hears this case and makes a ruling, or do you think that the circuit court just, stays the lower court's ruling and the Supreme Court just doesn't hear it? Or
I'm trying to be less jaded and
channel your inner IRI.
I'm willing to inhale some copium and say I think this goes to the Fifth Circuit appeals. They uphold this decision, and then the Supreme Court passes on actually hearing it, and the 2021 map stands.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we're going. I think that's what I'm going to say is my guess. I think my second guess would be upheld in the Fifth Circuit. Supreme Court shadow docket denies it. Or
shadow docket is crazy.
I think that's the like second most likely route for this. How about you? What do you think? What's your gut telling you?
I don't know enough about the underlying. I don't know enough about that Fifth Circuit decision to really say. I would have to understand way more of that.
Don't go over it. It's pretty boring.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, no, but I mean, like, do you think we can ask a different question though? Like, do you think that the Supreme Court that we have is unhinged enough to come in and make racial gerrymandering legal again to protect Republican majorities?
I don't know enough about the underlying legal argument from the Fifth Circuit opinion. Maybe there's a way to do that and be narrow enough to protect what the Republicans want, but not broad enough to give Democrats what they want. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So you think they might come in and go, that underlying Fifth Circuit thing actually did make coalition districts unconstitutional, so it's okay that they're doing this. That way we get to preserve the Voting Rights Act and say racial gerrymandering is bad.
Yeah.
And then they can go, well, so since that one is, that means that all they were doing is breaking up the racial gerrymandering. That's the only question we're going to answer. We're going to push it back to the district court and say, okay, with that in mind, even if they are giving all these racial reasons to do it, would we still block them? But see, even in that case, even if we made the Fifth Circuit underlying case make the coalition districts unconstitutional, it doesn't change the fact that the current maps would be unconstitutional. They could get rid of the 2021 maps, but the current maps, the 2025 maps, would still be unconstitutional if you make that underlying case.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard to know without, like, I know, like, for instance, when the government, when they did like the TikTok case in the Supreme Court, that was written literally as narrowly as possible. They might have literally even said this is probably only going to apply to the company of TikTok because they wrote it so narrowly. So, but I don't have a good understanding of all the underlying legal arguments. I wouldn't be able to say. Who knows? Who knows? But damn, if it doesn't, if they get fucked on this, they fucked up pretty hard because Newsom got his maps for California. That'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of the dangerous part, though. I think that. Do you think that there's like enough wind is coming out of the sails of the conservatives, where like if like all the Epstein shit's going on, you see these like fracturing, and then let's say like Texas doesn't get the redistricting. Do you think that that's enough of like a morale hit to like actually put them on the back foot where they can be, feasibly defeated? Or do you think that like
I think they're on a big back foot right now? No, I think that
that's what I mean though. It's like this would be like a 1-2 punch. Like, hey, look, like you're losing the fucking media fight. Also, get fucked politically. You're not actually going to get to steal the Congress for the next however many years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does this feel like a nail in the coffin to you? Or
I mean, it'd be bad, yeah, for sure. But I think weren't they already slated to do poorly in the House, even with all these memories?
Yeah, I was seeing like, it's hard to know if it's cope or not, but I was seeing some stuff where it was like, yeah, like this will make it where they're like stronger than they should be, but like this isn't going to save them. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Yeah. All right. I'm getting summoned. All right. You guys have a good rest of your night. Go read the expert witness section of that other case. Even if it's not on stream, you should read it. It would be very helpful for you in any debates that you have about this topic.
Okay. I love everybody. Be careful.
I love you guys too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jesus.
What a loser, am I right?
True. That guy's a fucking nerd. God damn. Oh my God. Asmongold finally debating.
The king.
DSP announces Asmongold collab scheduled for November 24th.
You want to do a watch party for that?
Yeah, I love watch parties.
It's going to be huge. We'll have to split the stream. We got to do. We got to raid Sabra again.
We got to what?
We got to raid the hummus, dude.
Oh, why are you?
I don't know. I get a kick out of that. That's so fucking funny.
So much. Stop.
It's just so funny, dude.
The laugh that just escaped me. Holy shit. Oh, I thought this was... Never mind. Okay, I read this wrong. Stop making me watch this shit.